game in the AFC West between the Raiders and the Denver Broncos means a two-game swing in the standings. If the Broncos win, they'll be in a first-place tie, but if they lose, they'll be 2 down with just 5 to play. It's clear and sunny, perfect for football, as for the 47th time at Los Angeles, it's the Denver Broncos and the Los Angeles Raiders. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Don Criqui with a man who was 15 times an All-Pro with the Los Angeles Rams in this Coliseum, Merlin Olsen. There's been a change of players at the key position on the field, quarterback. Merlin, everyone hates to see injuries, but this comes at a very difficult time.
Certainly does, Don. I don't think there's a more painful experience for an athlete than to see his quarterback go to the ground. DeBerg went down against Seattle last week, operated on Thursday, not expected to be able to play for the remainder of the season. On the other side of the field, Wilson threw a pass to Rockmore, chased him to the sideline, and falls heavily on his left shoulder. He, too, was operated on this week. Neither quarterback expected to be able to come back before the end of the season.
The Denver Broncos say there is bad news and good news. The bad news, they're down to 2 quarterbacks, and they're both rookies, but the good news is that one is John Elway, who says he's ready.
Well, and Elway did a good job coming in relief last week. But there's no question in the minds of the Denver coaching staff, Elway is going to be a great quarterback. It's just a matter of when. They'd like to see it start today. On the other side, they're getting a man in, a replacement who's been there many times before, Jim Plunkett. He knows what to do when he gets a shot in the game.
Denver's also concerned, Merlin, with the injuries to their running backs. They have a problem there.
Well, they certainly do. And the strength of these two teams is in their defenses, who will be trying to force mistakes today, trying to force interceptions and turnovers. Denver going to have trouble getting their offense on track. Only 2 healthy running backs, one of those with a dislocated thumb.
Well, it's perfect weather after 2 days of rain, and today's game is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By the Texas Instruments home computer, creating useful products and services for you. And by Honda, the world's largest manufacturer of motorcycles and ATC 3-wheelers. Follow the leader. He's on a Honda.
Don, I think we're going to see Dan Reeves with some smoke and mirrors today. With only 2 healthy running backs, we'll see a lot of 2 tight ends in a ball game with a single running back. Also, 4 wide receivers and a single running back.
Chris Barr is ready to kick it off for the Los Angeles Raiders. He was part of that great year in '80 when Barr came here as a cut by the Cincinnati Bengals, a free agent. Went to the Super Bowl with Jim Plunkett. Everybody had a comeback that year for the Raiders.
Well, that was the year that Plunkett came in with an injury, much like the injury that took the starter out this year.
Well, the interesting thing about him, Merle, as we look at Tom Flores, head coach of the Raiders, now in his 5th year, is the emotional maturity of Plunkett. He can handle the ups and downs of this game. He certainly demonstrated that. Here's the kick, carrying deep. And now the Denver Broncos bring it out across the 20 and out to the 30-yard line. Moving the ball out is Zach Thomas, a man who returned a punt 70 yards for a touchdown in the first meeting between the Broncos and the Raiders at Mile High. John Elway, and at quarterback, they're calling this Elway's 2nd season. Number 7 from Stanford, the first player picked. You all know the history of this great prospect from nearby Granada Hills, California. Preston and Poole, the starting runners, they have problems in the backfield due to the Broncos with injuries. Watson comes out wide to the left, Upchurch to the right. The offensive line has tightened up after some rough going early in the season. Has given up a lot of sacks throughout the year, 42. 1st and 10. Winder in the game now, and he takes the first pitch and goes back for a yard loss as he tried to get to the line of scrimmage. Bob Nelson, an inside linebacker, fills. The front 3 for the Raiders, Long, Kinlaw, and Alzado. The defensive ends are outstanding. The linebackers experienced and quick, particularly on the right side. Hendricks playing his 208th game consecutively. He's not missed a game since he was in junior high school. Hayes, Watts, Davis, and McElroy, the defensive backs for Oakland, for the Los Angeles Raiders. That's $5 in the Teddy Nathanson pool. The Raiders probably played more man coverage, Merlin, than any team in the league. 2nd down now and 11 for the Broncos. Nathan Poole tries to run, and he gets to the 30-yard line. The Teddy Nathanson Poole, anybody who calls the Raiders Oakland has to throw in $5. It got up to some pretty big numbers last year.
Can't do it. It's hard. Even some of these players still refer to them that way. Little altercation going on between Lester Hayes and Rick Upchurch on that last play. There, no love lost between these two teams. I don't think it's as bitter a rivalry as the rivalry that the Raiders have with San Diego. But these two teams play each other regularly, part of the same division, and they do not like each other very well.
No, they do not. The 47th meeting of these two teams dating all the way back to the American Football League in 1960. Raiders and the Broncos met earlier in the season at Mile High, and the Raiders were predominant that day, winning 22-7. Shortly thereafter, they had Steve DeBerg in the game as the starter. He ran off 4 straight victories. We have a problem with the stadium clock.
Should be 13:40. 13:40. 13:40, Carl.
Red Cashin talking about the fact that the clock is not working properly. They're going to wind it down to 13:40. They should be able to get into action out there. This Raider defense has played very well during the season, certainly ranked well overall in the NFL. But they've had 2 seasons. They started out, they had 4 games where they averaged giving up only 9 points. In the last 6 games, they've averaged over 25 points.
Dan Reeves now sends in the play, and it's going to be shotgun passing formation, 3rd down and 9. Here's Elway, ready to gun it. He can go long, and he does. Man is wide open out there. And with the ball all the way down to the 30-yard line, looked like Upchurch, who got ahead and beat the defense and gets down to the 30-yard line. Ted Watts was covering, and he was badly beaten, so Elway's first throw is a big one, a 40-yard gain.
Upchurch having perhaps his best year ever, certainly his best as a wide receiver, has beaten Ted Watts, number 20. It's just a down and in. Upchurch using his speed, and let's go and watch Elway in this shotgun situation. Quick drop. Good concentration downfield, and lofted a high and perfect pass. John Hadel, his quarterback coach, says, if I wanted to chisel a quarterback, create one from scratch, I'd create Elway.
Well, Hadel has him now as his coach in the Broncos. Go to the run on 1st down and 10 from the 30-yard line of the Los Angeles Raiders. Reggie Kinlaw, the middle guard, makes the stop at about the 29-yard line. Elway, with that great motion, got some time from the shotgun, and Upchurch had Watts beaten hands down. That wasn't close.
No, not even close on that play. But, you know, you've got to be very careful when you point the finger at these defensive backs. Perhaps they had beaten the coverage in the middle on one of the safeties as well. But if that was a man-on-man coverage, there's no question that Watts was burned badly.
Elway, who had been on the bench during the weeks that DeBerg quarterbacked this team to 4 straight wins, very confident, particularly off his showing last week as he sends the run play up the middle. The penalty marker comes in from the linesman. And again, the Raiders shut down the Denver run with little or no gain.
That's about the 5th running play, and virtually no gain at all for the run, and that is not good news. When you're playing a team that has a pressure philosophy defensively, you need to have all your options. And if the Broncos are unable to run the football today and have to depend entirely on the pass, they really are at a disadvantage.
Offsides, number 36 on the defense, still be 2nd down.
Defensive back Davis up that close. Mike Davis, what's he doing offsides?
Well, they're looking for him. He likes to shoot. And look at Baltimore starting to get back in this game with the Steelers. Steelers had a big lead at Baltimore. It's now 17-13 in the 3rd quarter. 2nd down and 4 after the 5-yard assessment against the Raiders. No score in the 1st quarter. Elway takes a look, throws a fastball, and again he was looking at Upchurch coming in off the right flank this time. It's now going to be 3rd down and 4 from the 24-yard line of the Raiders. Upchurch, as you saw, going over 10,000 career yards. Very quick.
Trying to work on Lester Hayes here. Drive him off shortly and then cut inside. Bob Nelson, number 51, dropping from the inside. Upchurch had some room on that play. McElroy, the inside safety, coming out to give him a little kiss there after the ball went by.
So now, John Elway sets in a shotgun formation. Wide receivers, there are 2 deployed to either side. One man back in to block that is Poole. And he gets a pitch, and they're going to go for a 1st down and more. As the Broncos cross up the Raider defense, playing pass all the way, the blocking back. gets the ball, and Nathan pulls ahead for 11 yards and a first down.
Well, when I said smoke and mirrors, this is the kind of thing you have to anticipate. Little shovel pass. Now, looks like it's going to be a drop right there. They let the defensive line in. Just flip it behind to Nathan Poole. And Poole does a good job of finding a little opening there, running for the first down. Still making all of their yardage on the passing game, not on the running game.
Nathan Poole spent some time in Canada, and now the pitch back goes to Winder. He cuts back upfield, and the Broncos get some good blocking from the right side. Lanier, the right tackle, Howard, the veteran right guard, Bill Bryant, always a good player at center for the Broncos, and the run is down close to the 10-yard line. A gain of about 5 on the play. It'll be second actually and 6 where they spot the ball down.
Elway doing a good job so far of handling his share of the responsibilities on the field.
Here's an upset Merlin. New England beating Miami today. And a big help to the Raiders and the Broncos. The Cardinals upsetting the Seattle Seahawks.
The Seahawks pushing both of these teams.
Came in tied for second with the Broncos. Both those clubs a game behind the Raiders at day's outset. But right now, the Broncos looking for a share of first place if they can beat the Raiders today. Elway sprinting out. He has some time. There's that quick arm and incomplete in the end zone. Mike Davis was covering on the play. One of a number of Colorado football players on the field today.
Sammy Winder down there working on Mike Davis in the corner. That's one of the things that Elway does extremely well. He has 4.7 speed and is not afraid to run with that football. And when you have a quarterback with mobility, he can get you a little bit of extra time. Looks like he wants to gun that ball a little too hard on that particular kind of play, though. Receiver coming back at it. Very hard to handle a fast pass in that situation.
No question, John Elway can throw fastballs. Now third down and 6 from the 10. Watson goes in motion. Elway takes a look, stands in, lets her rip, and he has a man down to the 6-yard line. Gain of about 5. It'll be short of a first down, though. Short by a little over a yard. Matt Millen was covering Watson, who came in to take the pass.
Big Ted Hendricks, the Stork, number 83, coming from the left-hand side defensively. And there's no question that the quarterback was feeling that hot breath.
Clear sunny day in Southern California. The Raiders on their home field with a 1st and 10. Plunkett goes to Marcus Allen, a cutback runner from Southern California who broke all records. Here is a Southern California Trojan in his collegiate days. The defensive front of Denver has Chavis, Carter, and Rulon Jones back in and playing well. The linebackers very good, particularly the consensus All-Pro year after year, Randy Gradishar, 53. The defensive backs, a young player from Southern California, number 49, Dennis Smith, is playing some great football. That's Steve Foley, the free safety you're looking at, another good one. Former college quarterback at Tulane. 2nd down and 8 for the Raiders. Plunkett play faking, and the blitz comes from Jackson. Fumble in the end zone. It could be a Denver touchdown. It is. So the Broncos hit Bass and look at their sideline in jubilation. Barney Chavis came through after Jackson made the blitz, forced the fumble, and Chavis is on the ball. There's a player down. I don't know if he's fighting for the football or...
Marcus Allen is in there fighting for the ball. Chavis said he had it, and he did. They went in on top of Plunkett, and Plunkett has trouble hanging on to that football. Does not have terribly big hands. And if you can hit him when he's not aware of you, he tends to let that ball go. Jackson gets there as Plunkett is just not even set up yet. Knocks the ball loose. Chavis right there to cover it in the end zone for the 7 points. You talk about a big, big break right there. 2 of those kinds of plays in the Seattle game, and that big loss by the Raiders. And Denver has come right back with it here.
Tom Jackson unopposed as he came on the blitz from the right side, and the fumble recovery by Chavis in the end zone. And now Carlos puts up the extra point, and all of a sudden the Denver Broncos open up this game with 8:26 to play in the first quarter. Denver has taken a 10-0 lead over the decidedly favored Los Angeles Raiders. We'll be back with the Broncos kickoff after this.
As soon as this mud dries, I figure we can drive right out of here.
The new Big Red 3-wheeler costs so little that you can get one for each of your crew and do a lot of different jobs at the same time. It's the Honda 3-wheeler that comes standard with an electric starter, shaft drive, and reverse.
Maybe we ought to get some of those.
If we had them, we'd be working.
Big Red, only from Honda.
working.
This is the place for the real taste. Come on, play cool. Pabst is the place. There's just no doubt about it.
I think there's more flavor to it than other beers. I think Pabst is good beer.
Pabst is the place. Your good friends all around you for the real taste of beer. And all the good times you have here.
You know it's always going to taste good. That's what counts.
For the real taste of beer, Pabst is the place.
Monday, will Boone's family be disgraced when a prank backfires and could ruin his future?
I'm afraid I'll have to suspend the boys.
But that means Boone won't graduate.
Monday.
Linebacker Tom Jackson just helped put points on the board for the Broncos with this big play on a blitz. Merlin?
Coming hard from the outside. Nobody attempts to block him even, and he just sweeps that ball right out of Plunkett's hands. Barney Chavis in to score, and that's the Raiders for a 5-game streak had 28 turnovers. They only had one last week. They'd like to eliminate them altogether.
They lead the league in fumbles. That was their 18th of the season. Now Pruitt returns the kickoff as he gets to the 15, is swept under by a wave of white on special teams for Denver. So the Broncos jubilant over their early game fortunes here. Early, Elway hit Upchurch with a 40-yard pass, and shortly thereafter, Carlos kicked a field goal to make it 3-0. And now, the blitz, the subsequent fumble, and the recovery by Chavis. Plunkett comes out, finding himself and the Raiders down 10-0.
Well, we mentioned the strength of these two defenses being maintained in those defensive units. And, of course, when you get up by 10 points that quickly, you can afford to become even more aggressive. And this Denver defense is highly aggressive anyway.
Very quick, and they've really shut down the scoring of the opposition. They're third best in the NFL in keeping point totals of the opponent down. First and 10 Raiders. With a run right to the middle and right to Marcus Allen, and quick linebackers you're referring to, Merlin, fill those gaps quickly, and there's a knockdown for a gain of only 2 yards.
Don Latimer picking that ball up. They would like to have had another one.
Final, the Packers upsetting the Vikings at Minneapolis 29-21. And Houston gets off the schneid and beats Detroit 27-17. And so after 10 weeks of losing this year, and how many last year, 5 or so, the Oilers are finally in the win column. Lost 17 in a row coming into today's game. Jim Plunkett with a 2nd down and 8. Kenny King gets the call, looks for room to go, has it for a moment, then gets to the 21 where again he's knocked down.
Oh, we got another battle going on. There it is right there.
You got people swinging in a couple of different
Marcus
spots.
Allen. That's Marcus Allen. I don't think I've seen him lose his cool like that in a ball game.
The guy who was squaring off with Steve Foley is an unlikely opponent.
Apparently, we're going to take a look down there after we get the call here from the official.
Number 32 of the offense. Unnecessary roughness. Number 57 of the defense. Henry's all set. Hold down.
It's always a push. They always offset.
Well, they do offset it. Jackson, number 57, you see here taking a shot to Marcus's head. Marcus retaliates as he comes back inside and throws Jackson off. Jackson, well, that's just a little mini battle going on there. They're not even worried about who's carrying the ball.
Yeah, this one is hot early, and it's going to heat up more as it's 3rd down and 5 now for the Raiders. Plunkett has some time, and he has a man, and a great reception by Marcus Allen for a first down at the 36-yard line of Los Angeles. 15 yards up into the air goes Marcus Allen and comes down with the ball. He's caught 42 balls this year.
Great receiver, no question about it. And on that particular play, I think realizing how foolish he looked on the last play, comes up with a big play, takes some heat off. Plunkett doing a good job of finding an opening and a little bit of time in that pocket. That was the key to the play, along with the great catch by Marcus Allen.
Another aspect of Marcus Allen's play, Merlin, is the 3 completions in 5 attempts. He doesn't throw often, but 2 have been for touchdowns. A lot of times they'll use it when they're behind. First and 10 Raiders. Plunkett wants some more, swings it out to Marcus Allen. So quick, loses a defender and gets ahead for a gain of about 9 yards on the play. Great move by Marcus Allen. Steve Foley finally got him out of bounds.
We talked about the injuries on the offense of the Denver Broncos. They also have a number of injured linebackers, and we're going to see a lot of 4-man line today, as we did on that play. Louis Wright just taking the bite there. What a great fake by Marcus. Put Louis on his backside. Jackson running him out of bounds. About 2 yards, a little less than 2 yards for the first down here, Don.
So the Raiders starting to move the ball now. 2nd and 2 coming up. Send 2 wide receivers out to the left, including the very elusive and quick Cliff Branch, who caught 2 touchdown passes in the first meeting at Denver. Plunkett's going long, and he's going to Cliff Branch, who loses the ball at the 36-yard line. Branch going deep, cuts back, but the ball was low. He couldn't hold it. Buffalo railing from a 14-0 deficit. Defeats the New York Jets 24-17, so the Jets are gone if they weren't long ago, and Buffalo's very much in the running. San Diego a surprise leader.
That is a surprise. Early in the ball game, San Diego bouncing back and jumping out ahead of Dallas. Well, Dallas always does that. Spots you about 10 or 15.
Right. And then hits the go button. The Denver Broncos now deploy their cornerbacks pretty well off the speed on the flanks for the Raiders. 3rd down and 2's coming up. Frank Hawkins in the backfield with Marcus Allen. Hawkins blocks. Plunkett gets time. Cliff Branch is open and loses the ball on a good defensive play by cornerback Mike Harden, number 31. And Coach Flores sees his team now come up empty on 3rd down, and the Raiders have to punt the ball.
The Denver defense in the earlier game in Denver did a good job of shutting down the Raiders on the running game, and they've done that so far here, forcing Plunkett to go to the air repeatedly. Makes the job easier because then they can concentrate on the pass, as Harden did on that play, shaking it loose from Cliff Branch. Good defensive play.
Ray Guy, who hits it a long way. You see his average, one of the best in the league again, ready to punt for the Raiders.
I wonder if he's ever kicked barefooted.
I don't think that he has. He probably could, though. Now the high punt, a very well done one. Going to angle out of bounds, and no, hits into the end zone. It'll be a touchback. Very nearly got it down inside, and so a 56-yard punt by Ray Guy carries into the end zone. A touchback, and the Broncos, a surprise 10-0 leader, have the ball when we come back.
While Atari keeps trying to sell you new systems like the 5200, with ColecoVision you only need one system, because ColecoVision expands to give you a Super Action controller set with Super Action Baseball, a driving module with turbo, and only ColecoVision plugs into the Atom module to become the complete Atom computer system. Plus you get $150 in vacation savings certificates. $150, good for any vacation package if you buy ColecoVision now. Sorry, Atari.
You're about to see the Ford Ranger leap to new heights in quality. Based on a survey of owner-reported problems during the first 3 months, Ranger quality was unbeaten by any major small truck maker. And Ranger has V6 power, more horsepower than Chevy S10 of the imports, and a wider cab than any small truck. For toughness, horsepower, and unbeaten quality, it's Ranger down-to-earth tough. The best-built American trucks are built. Ford Tough.
Back at the Los Angeles Coliseum, Don Criqui with Merlin Olsen. A major upset in the Midwest today. The Seattle Seahawks were beaten by the St. Louis Cardinals, and so Seattle's record goes to 6-5. And the Raiders and the Broncos looking to see if it'll be a two-way lead in the AFC West at day's end. It would be if Denver wins. Raiders can have a 2-game advantage over their closest competition with just 5 to play if they beat the Broncos. It's 10-0 though right now, Denver.
Down one of the brightest stars on the field today, a young defensive end, Howie Long. And Howie, just one of those exciting players in a sense. He's able to do so many explosive things from that defensive end position. Able to, on that particular play, push his offensive tackle inside, shut off the play. Just very exciting to watch. We'll be looking at him later on the day.
You don't hear a lot about him, but I think he's headed to the Pro Bowl. Broncos have not run well so far, but Elway's thrown well, and he does again. Now they rule he's out of bounds where he took the ball in. Upchurch had it, but he was out of bounds. Ted Watts covering.
You're exactly right. The Broncos have tried to carry the ball 5 times, managed only 8 yards, just over a yard to carry. And that's about the same kind of an average. In fact, I think the Raiders' average is even lower than that. Neither team able to move the ball on the ground, but both teams finding some open receivers, in particular the Broncos.
It was interesting to talk to the Broncos and just see their general attitude coming in, Merlin. It's a very confident team. Despite the injury to DeBerg, John Elway looked like he was coming out for a scrimmage. Very confident. He said he's ready, and he's indicated that so far by his play. Giving him the reception, so it's going to be 1st down and 10 from the 34-yard line. The pitch back goes. Running with the ball is Winder, not for very much as the Raiders continue to shut down the run. Ted Hendricks has been doing that for 14 years.
Well, we talked about exciting young players. There's about the most exciting pair of old legs on the field. Ted Hendricks, the Stork. Watch him coming from the left-hand side of your screen. You can't see him yet, but here he comes right there. Shuts off Winder with a fine tackle. And I'll tell you the thing that's exciting and interesting. He's operating with torn stomach muscles and won't come off the field. That man's an amazing specimen.
He really is. As we mentioned, he's not missed a game because of an injury since he was in junior high school in Miami.
I told him his body goes directly to the Smithsonian after the season's over.
It's a big body, 6'7", 235 pounds.
Awesome.
Howie Long left early, but we'll see if he was drawn off.
Didn't look like either of the offensive linemen moved. I think Howie's just excited. He's walking the 5 back. He knows he made a mistake. He's pumped up. He's an interesting young man. Just watch him here. He's excited. He's expecting the pass, wanted to be hard on the inside. Looks like they had a blitz coming, or at least a line stunt. Howie got in there all by himself.
Encroachment. Number 75 on the defense. Still second down.
So the Broncos beneficiaries there. Instead of long yardage, they now have 2nd down and 4.
This is the kind of yardage they like to have, too. They got all the options now. They can run or pass.
Raiders with an early penalty problem, as you saw. 3 already for 20 yards. 10-0 Broncos. They try the run. Winder does his best, but there's not much there. He's short of a 1st down. It's going to bring up 3rd down and about 2 as Bob Nelson, a big inside linebacker from Nebraska, filled. The Steelers rallying now in the 4th quarter, and they lead the Baltimore Colts 24-13. Pittsburgh ready to extend its record to 9-2 with the win. Dan Reeves' team looking for a share of 1st place.
Reeves sends his short yardage unit onto the field. 3rd and 1. Send the big folks out. 2 tight ends, maybe even 3 in this situation. Although the Broncos have had trouble at that position too. They've gone through 7 tight ends during this season.
They haven't found Riley Odoms in his prime yet. 3rd down and just over a yard. The pitch back to Winder, turns upfield, and he didn't get there, doesn't look like.
Yeah, well, it all depends on where they mark it, and I believe they're going to mark it short because they've asked the Denver.
Winder came in, as you mentioned, Merlin, with a thumb injury. Had a great game in the first meeting at Mile High against the Raiders, ran for 119 yards.
And if that is indeed Winder on the ground, Dan Reeves's problems have just been complicated even further. That would mean he would be down to 1 healthy running back.
The Broncos have gotten very little production out of their number 1 from a year ago. It is Sammy Winder down. Gerald Wilhite has a continuing problem with a hamstring.
Wilhite came off a hamstring injury just a couple of weeks ago. They were excited to have him back in the lineup, and he went ahead and got into the ball game and pulled his other hamstring.
Yeah, hurt his good one.
And hurt his good one. And they're growing concern that he may not be able to provide the kind of punch they'd hoped he would provide.
Number 47, Gerald Wilhite, will be back to the Coliseum in Los Angeles after this.
Ford Escort. It's engineered with 4-wheel independent suspension for a smoother ride than this Japanese import. It's engineered with more passenger room than this Japanese import. Plus, Escort has more standard features than this Japanese import. And now with the new available 2-liter diesel engine, Ford Escort is engineered for better mileage ratings than this Japanese import. Have you driven the best-built American cars? Have you driven a Ford lately?
One computer company has been shaping the way business does business for 99 years, NCR. Today, NCR High Technology puts computer power where business needs it most. Computer power that helps shoppers check out faster as it controls a supermarket's inventory. Computer power to provide banking services 24 hours every day. NCR, shaping the way business does business.
Sunday, it's an NFL 83 doubleheader. The Raiders look to the playoffs against the Bills from Buffalo. Then the Wild West show continues. The Chiefs take on the Cowboys, plus other regional action on NBC.
Very early in the game for Dan Reeves to be gambling, but here he is in his own territory, and he's elected to go for it on 4th down. Now, when all of your running backs are hurt, you may have to throw this ball. Let's see what he has in mind.
Egloff sets up as a wing to the right. 4th down and a yard. A little over a yard for the Broncos. Maybe they're looking to draw the Raiders offside.
They're not going to run the play. They were just hoping to get somebody offside. They'll take the 5-yard penalty here now. and kick the ball. Yeah, a little bit of trickery. What they decided to do was put a couple of people in motion and see if they couldn't get the Raider defense to jump off sides. The Raiders were a little edgy. They would not take the bait. Now they'll send the punting team onto the field.
That, Merlin, would have been a critical shortcoming had they not made the first down and went for it at this stage.
It was a question in my mind why Reeves would want to do that. He's got a nice lead, doesn't want to make a dumb mistake here, but obviously trying to use more of the smoke and mirrors we talked about early.
Pruitt goes back. Luke Prestridge, another long ball hitter with that punt, ready to kick the ball for the Broncos.
He used to be the biggest punter in the league, 6'4", 230 pounds, but Reggie Roby is the monster is taken over now.
Prestridge is still big, though, about 220. He's averaging over 43 yards a punt. Pruitt standing back at the Raider 20, the 19. It's 10-0 Denver with 3:19 to play in the first quarter. 70 degrees, clear and sunny in Los Angeles. Prestridge hits a line drive. This will come back at the Broncos. Pruitt loses one man and another. Hits his own man, but he's still on his feet. To the 35, to the 40, and out to the 42-yard line. Pruitt wanted more, and he almost had a lot more. Ran into his own guy. 44-yard punt, but Greg Pruitt brought it back 24 yards.
Tony Caldwell, 57, is a linebacker coming down to block, and he runs flush on right there. Just a head-on collision. Pruitt lucky to keep his balance and find some room. That's a dangerous punt with no hang time. Pruitt doing a good job of getting him back up, getting good field position at the 42-yard line for his offensive unit. Plunkett trots them onto the field.
Pruitt saying, hit a guy in a white shirt.
He said, hey, I'm one of yours.
First and 10 Raiders. They trail in the first quarter 10-0. Malcolm Barnwell comes in motion. Plunkett, the pitch back. Running with the ball is Marcus Allen. And he's across midfield, and he's ahead for 13 yards and a first down. That great change of pace move that all the great ones have. A shift to speed, and Marcus Allen speeds ahead for a first down.
Marcus, a gifted back, has not had quite as good a numbers this year, but his role has changed somewhat in this offense. Has had to handle a lot of short yardage work. Well, this is long yardage work, doing what he does best, feeling the holes in that defense, and then accelerating and getting the extra yardage. That's a classic maneuver and fine play by Marcus Allen.
He's now run it 3 times for 17 yards. First and 10, and Plunkett takes a look and swings it out. Pruitt has the ball. And he's ahead to the 39-yard line of the Denver Broncos, a gain on that play of 6 yards. So the Raiders come out and start to mix it up and get the ball down for their longest penetration of the game. Major upset at Foxborough and another at Shea Stadium in New York. And there's another at Minneapolis as the Packers beat the favored Vikings. Kansas City beats Cincinnati. Bengals went into that game even though they're on the road with a losing record as the favorite. Chicago Bears haven't won many, but they did today, winning at Soldier Field against the Eagles. Second down and 4 Raiders. Kenny King has a problem. Foley comes up. Gradishar was the first through, and Foley came up and finished him off. So it's going to be third down and 4. The scores coming in from the Midwest and the East, a very big one for the AFC West and these two teams. Seattle, an upset loser at St. Louis today. Cleveland beats Tampa Bay 20-0. And Houston with its first victory of the season after 17 consecutive losses dating back to last season. Pittsburgh still holding to the 11-point lead at Baltimore in the fourth quarter. San Diego continues to lead the favored Cowboys at Jack Murphy Stadium down the coast in San Diego. Third down and 4 Raiders. They trail 10-0 first quarter. Good throw, and Branch will lose one man and gets ahead for a first down. Plunkett still has smoke on the ball, Merlin.
He still does, and still knows how to find those open receivers. They're really tickled to have Cliff Branch back. He wanted to play last week. They held him out of that ball game because they were afraid he might tear that hamstring again. You see him here. Look at the deceptiveness. He gets away from this first man, and then he's working on right here on number 45, Steve Wilson. Wilson trying to slip that ball out of his hands, but Branch did a great job of getting the pass and the extra yardage.
You don't want to get those Colorado Buffalo fans mad. Branch played not at Oklahoma, but for the Buffaloes in Colorado. Now Now his 9th year. Here's a pitch back and running with the ball. Running well is Marcus Allen. Starts to go east and west. Nothing there. It's going to be 2nd down and 10.
The mark of Joe Collier's defenses over the years, hustling and pursuit. There were about 8 of them out there, and they shut it off. Marcus looked back, wanted to reverse his field. Nothing doing. There was no place to go. Good play by the Denver defense.
Bronco linebacking core with Jim Ryan, Steve Busick, Randy Gradishar, and Tom Jackson. The biggest single play of this game was Tom Jackson's blitz earlier in the first quarter. He knocked the ball free from Jim Plunkett, knocked it into the end zone where Chavis recovered for a touchdown. And now as the first quarter ends, Jim Plunkett and the Raiders head to the other end of the field, trailing in the game 10-0.
Leaner, meaner, the new breed of four-wheel drive. The leaner, meaner size Cherokee and Wagoneer from Jeep. Higher ground clearance, higher mileage than Bronco 2 and Blazer 4x4. Legendary Jeep traction, hot or cold. Leaner, meaner, the new breed of four-wheel drive, only from Jeep.
When IBM personal computer owners look for good software, where can they turn? To IBM for programs that help you keep up with modern times. Business programs, entertainment, productivity, education, and more. The variety you want with the quality you expect in the growing library of IBM personal computer software. A well-balanced selection at a store near you.
There's more for your car at Sears' biggest automotive sale of the year. Weather Handler all-season radials as low as $99 a set of 4. Road Handler highway radials as low as $44.99 each. Save $100 on Sears heavy-duty 1.5-ton floor jack, only $99.99. And save $18 on a Sears 48 battery, just $39.99 with trade. Confidence installed day and night.
There's more for your life at Sears.
Broncos 10, Raiders nothing as we start the second quarter at the Los Angeles Coliseum. Don Criqui with Merlin Olsen. Raiders have the ball just inside the 30-yard line of Denver. It's 2nd down and about 9. Plunkett looking over the middle. They're doing a good job shutting off the tight end Christensen, but now Cliff Branch is starting to catch balls on shorter patterns. He's coming back.
Foley and Harden trying to get over to shut that down, but Branch looping up, finding the open ground, and you have to respect his speed. They'll play him deep here. He drives them off and then just hooks back inside. You notice how Plunkett does not throw the ball on the turn there, does not throw it on the break. He waits until the receiver comes out of that break, and that's one of the ways in which this Raider offense and the Raider passing game in particular differs from other passing games. A lot of passing quarterbacks like to throw on the break. The Raiders encourage their receivers to keep their heads down and drive out of that break, and they'll get the ball 2 or 3 steps later.
And they did right there. They have a first down, and here comes Marcus Allen cutting back, cutting in. Not done till he gets to about the 13-yard line. First down run, good for a gain of 4 or 5 yards. Barney Chavis, who scored the touchdown on the fumble recovery in the end zone, was on the tackle. You see the first quarter numbers. Broncos didn't run the ball well, but they did pass it well, particularly the 140-yarder from Elway to Upchurch that set up the subsequent field goal by Carlos, the first points of the game. It's now 10-0 Broncos.
At 18 yards is not impressive unless you remember that the first 4 times they carried the ball, they only got 4 yards. They are starting to run the ball more effectively.
Raiders with their deepest threat now. Inside the 15-yard line, Plunkett on 2nd and 6. And he throws the one
Jones. Number 75, Don Rulon Jones coming in from his right defensive end position. And, of course, that's what the Denver Bronco defense wants to do to Plunkett. They want to harass him. They want to force him to throw the ball before he's ready to throw it. Coming to the right-hand side of your picture, number 75. Plunkett sees him. He knows he's there. He gets the ball off, but I believe that Rulon hit his arm, delivering that ball then, instead of toward the receiver, toward the turf.
People watching in Utah remember Rulon Jones and a couple of good Olsen brothers from Utah State.
He went to a good school, didn't he?
Their brother Phil in the booth also. He looks big enough to be a player, which he would have, and a very good one. Merlin Jackson, Phil, and Rulon Jones, all from Utah State, as Plunkett throws and swings it out of the backfield on 3rd down and 6. Cliff Branch catches another one. He's short of the first down, but he's down to the 10-yard line. And the Raider field goal unit comes out. Chris Barr's the kicker.
Broncos talk about the best athlete on their team as being Dennis Smith, number 49, and you saw some of his speed as he stayed stride for stride with Branch on that particular play. That's the kind of play that Branch can kill you with, coming underneath, taking the ball, and using his speed to get the first down. No go there. Barr will try a 3-pointer.
Branch now at 3 receptions. The last sets up this field goal attempt from the 19-yard line. It'll be a 29-yard attempt. Barr hits it, 20 long, and he's right there. So the Raiders are on the board with 12:39 to play in the from Scottsdale, Arizona, right here on NBC Sports. Now the Raiders are on the board on a 29-yard field goal by Chris Barr, who kicks it off and well. Drives the ball into the end zone. Coming out with it is Zach Thomas. He gets to the 19, and that's all, as the Raiders special teams play well. Derek Jensen, the captain of the special teams, comes down and makes the stop.
Tremendous coverage. That was a good kick deep into the end zone by Barr. Barr has had a short slump middle of the season, and it seems to be out of it completely now, and that's very important. You want your kicker healthy of mind and body as you go into the last half of this season.
Chris Barr, very under control, a former Penn State soccer player. His father was the soccer coach there. Brother Matt kicks for the Cleveland Browns after kicking for the championship team for the Steelers. 1st and 10 for Elway and the Broncos from their 19. Elway on a spread out, has to hurry it. What an arm. Downfield, it's a little short, though, as Elway kind of falling back, still gunned it on a line about 25 yards. Upchurch, the intended receiver.
Broncos going with 2 tight ends, a single back, and again forced to do that basically because of their injuries in that backfield. Elway just faking the run, and nobody really paid much attention. They did not expect the run, and because of that, no room on the pass. They came with good pressure. He had to throw the ball before he was ready to. That was a long comeback. Upchurch faking the deep pass, trying to break back to the ball, but Elway had to unload it before he was ready.
Tough down now for Elway and the Broncos. 2nd down and 10 from their 19. Raider defense digging in. They'll be coming. Elway ready to throw it. No, he's going to go to the run. Here comes Winder looking for room, and there's nothing there. He's shut down for a loss on the play and almost lost the ball. Bob Nelson, 51, with a big play for Los Angeles. The second quarter clock ticking down to 12:10.
Ron Egloff, number 85, who's been kind of pressed into full-time responsibility. Had been a backup tight end for a long while, coming in to put a little shot on McElroy there. Matt Millen, number 55, in the middle of your screen. One of those linemen who plays linebacker. A little more of the fisticuffs, the frustration, the love or lack of it between these two teams.
I think maybe the lack of it and the lack of yardage for Winder. Has run 7 times, has gained only 6 yards after that loss. 3rd and 15. Elway's got to let her low, and he does. Too much on it. Going to Upchurch, and John Elway's jumping up and down. Knew he had an open man farther downfield, but didn't get the ball to him. So the Raiders, trailing by 7 points, are going to get the ball now in relatively good field position as Pruitt drops back to take the punt.
On the last play, the Broncos had gone to 1 running back and 4 wide receivers. Problem was that Elway did not have enough time. Alzado bearing down from the right-hand side. Again, he had to throw the ball before he was ready to, and that's the kind of pressure that this Raider defense wants to put on Elway all day long.
Prestridge standing at his goal line, awaiting the snap from center. Wind is not a factor. It's absolutely perfect playing conditions after 2 days of heavy rain in Southern California. Prestridge hits a high knuckler, and fair catch is signaled for and made by Pruitt at the 46-yard line of the Broncos. So the Raiders, down 10-0 early, have a chance to get right back and tie it up if they can succeed on this drive when we come back.
Chevrolet, taking charge.
When you buy a dependable Chevy Chevette, you'll find you can also afford some of the other good things in life. like extra money for a growing family or an honest-to-goodness vacation. Because Chevette's so dependable, 97% ever built are still going strong. So you can plan to own your Chevette for years and begin putting your money into something other than a car.
Chevrolet.
And you.
Taking charge.
The RCA Digital Command Center is a remote control for your new RCA ColorTrack 2000. But this unique remote does more than control your TV. It also controls a new RCA video cassette recorder and video disc player. One remote control for total control. The RCA Digital Command Center, a giant step forward at the touch of a finger. See your RCA dealer for special values through December 24th.
Tuesday, it's father against son in Bay City.
Hey, hold it right there, all-star.
A grudge explodes.
I think I can kick your butt.
What you doing?
Tuesday.
L.A. today, clear and sunny, 70 degrees and cloudless except for a few cumulus over the mountains after a heavy rainstorm yesterday. Right now, the Broncos on defense leading in the game 10-3. The Raiders looking to strike from the Denver side of the field. First and 10, Plunkett's looking long. He's got a problem, and down goes Plunkett at the 43-yard line.
The Raiders sacked many times during this season, but one of the reasons for that is that they want the deep shot. They'll go after you an average of about 8 times a ball game trying to get that ball deep, and they know that they're going to get sacked occasionally because of it. They know that the percentages are not that great because of it, but they'll take those deep shots, they'll turn them into touchdowns, and they really force you as a defense to play differently when you work against them.
That's long been a Raider axiom, to stretch the defense the length and width of the field. Spread it out. That time, the pass rush spread out Plunkett for a loss of about 11 yards. Now he throws and has an open man, and Frank Hawkins, who gets back the lost yardage and some more. It'll be 3rd down and about 7.
And that's one of the things that those deep passes will do for you. When you stretch the defense deep, you make some room underneath, and you can get the ball to a Frank Hawkins who can then pick up some good yardage. Even though he does not get the first down, gets himself some good room here. Look how far the defensive backs are back. You can't even see a defensive back in that picture. They've gone deep with the receivers, respecting the deep passing game of the Los Angeles Raiders.
Frank Hawkins, more heralded now after his great performance in the upset of the Cowboys at Irving, Texas, when he rushed for over 120 yards against Dallas that night. The Raiders handing the Cowboys their only loss of the season. 3rd down and 7. Plunkett loses his footing and then gets some help going down. Number 77, Carl Mecklenburg, is through. They like him, and they like Rulon Jones, who was right there with him.
That's the 3rd sack of the day for -27. And we talked about the rain earlier. They covered this field yesterday, but there was still some water on it. Plunkett just planted that back foot. The foot went out from underneath him. I think if that foot had not slipped, he would have managed to avoid that sack, managed to get the pass off.
Rulon Jones went out with an injury for 4 weeks. It really hurt a good Denver defense. Now that he's back, the defense has picked up considerably. 3rd in the league in average scoring against. Only 2 teams have permitted fewer points than the Broncos. Now Ray Guy hits a long spiral, really unloads. It's going to carry into the end zone, another 50-yard plus punt, and it comes out as a touchback to the 20.
Even though he kicked it 50 yards, he's got his head down. He would rather have put it out of bounds and gotten the extra yardage.
Back after this.
Carlos, you gotta keep him out of there!
I'm used to him yelling, but not at me.
Out your best. Bring out your best. Budweiser
The best has a taste all its own.
Nice game.
Enjoy it.
Budweiser Light.
This is the automobile you probably didn't expect from Mercedes-Benz. On the test track, it moves comfortably at more than 100 miles an hour. Its unique rear suspension provides extraordinary handling. Its quick reflexes exemplify legendary Mercedes-Benz engineering. More than just a new automobile, it is a new class of automobile. The new Mercedes-Benz 190 class.
Todd Christensen, we haven't heard from him yet today. One of the reasons, they're jamming him on the line. Number 20, Louis Wright, doing a great job of keeping Christensen out of the pass pattern, destroying his timing. That's one of the reasons he's not been able to catch a pass.
And he's been averaging 5 catches a game, has Todd Christensen. Right behind Ozzie Newsome, the Cleveland tight end, in receptions in the conference. 51 coming in, but no less an expert than Louis Wright shutting him down today. Now Elway for Denver, 1st and 10. Gets it away, and Winder was looking at the ball, and Elway took a hard shot just as he released it.
Today's game is brought to you by Chevrolet, official U.S. cars and trucks of the 14th Olympic Winter Games. Chevrolet and you taking charge. By United Airlines, people who fly for a living fly United's friendly skies. And by RCA, the maker of innovative video products that will open your eyes.
John Elway a moment ago dropping the throw. He got it away just in time.
Oh, hello. The Raider defense wants to pressure him and remind him how close they are.
2nd and 10 for Elway, looking to throw on the run. He gets it away, and a man is out there, but the ball is wide as Watson was making a play on it.
Number 51, Bob Nelson, using his speed from the inside to pressure Elway. Again, we mentioned Elway's speed and running ability. On this particular play, has plenty of time, but his receivers could not get open. He merely fired that ball away and got rid of it. If you remember the shots we showed you in our opening, that's almost how Mark Wilson got hurt. Got on the sideline, lost his footing, trying to push somebody out, went to his shoulder and injured himself. They sure don't want to lose Elway here in this ball game. 2 quarterbacks between them, I think, have about 6 months of professional experience. That's not starting experience.
The other quarterback, Merlin Gary Kubiak, has been on the clipboard all year. He hasn't taken a snap yet in the game. Elway looking to run, and the Raiders get him. Well, the Broncos will have to punt.
Greg Townsend, number 93, busting in from that left defensive end position. This young man is explosive, runs extremely well, really a powerful pass rusher. You'll see him coming in on this play on Elway. Elway sees he's going to have trouble, tries to get up the middle, but Townsend merely adjusts. That's Ken Lanier, number 76, trying to get over to block on him, unable to do so.
43rd sack of a Bronco quarterback. They lead the league in that negative statistic. Now Prestridge ready to hit the ball from inside his 5-yard line. And again, the Raiders will come out with good field position. Knuckleball hit downfield. Pruitt will run this back from the 50.
Clip.
Man. Yeah. Pruitt is a tough customer, though. He was rocket hit and then still spun away and got ahead. But there is the marker down. And a call was going to go against Los Angeles.
It looked like Bob Nelson, perhaps the man who was going to be charged with that. He's coming right down on top of Pruitt. You'll see that Pruitt has no chance here. I believe it is. Oh, no, it's 54. Darrell Byrd. I saw the 4 look like a 1. But Byrd, the man who was charged with that, he was trying to get off. But he just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. The officials will run it off against him.
Here's Red Cashin.
Illegal use of the hands. Number 54, the receivers doing the run back. It's 1st down and 10.
The Raiders quarterbacks had been sacked. We talked about sacks. There's the play right there. You see Byrd trying to get off of the man right there. Just couldn't get away from it.
Pruitt spins away for 7 yards, but it comes back, and the Raiders start out inside their 45-yard line.
Chevy Truck is taking charge. Are you tough enough to make it with the U.S. Army? Chevy Trucks are. The Army contracted for 53,000 tough, full-size Chevy pickups and Blazers. These rugged 4-wheel drives are regular production vehicles powered by the proven 6.2-liter diesel V8. Need a truck as tough as the U.S. Army's? Just sign up at your Chevy dealers today. Chevy Truck is taking charge.
Every morning, whether I'm here in Latrobe or on the road, I'm out there making sure all the parts are working. Nobody has to sell me on keeping in shape. I guess that's why I've always been sold on Pennzoil protection. Pennzoil helps keep the equipment in shape. And believe me, I'm a guy who believes in taking care of the old equipment.
Pennzoil, quality protection. Ask for it.
Sunday, it's an NFL 83 doubleheader. The Raiders look to the playoffs against the Bills from Buffalo. Then the Wild West show continues. The Chiefs take on the Cowboys, plus other regional action on NBC.
Back at the Los Angeles Coliseum, Don Criqui with Merlin Olsen. Denver Broncos a surprise 10-3 leader. A beautiful day in Southern California, the kind, Merlin, that might make you want to get back out there.
Well, I played a lot of games on the floor of this Coliseum. I don't think I ever played on a prettier day than today. And it is indeed the kind of day you want to tape up and go down. I don't know if I want to play, though. Just watch.
Well, you probably played more on this field than anybody ever, 15 years. Right now, the Broncos, leading by 7, go to the defense and stuff the run as the Raiders try to push it at the left side of the Denver defense from their 42-yard line.
I mentioned a few minutes ago, we were talking about sacks. The Raiders came into this ball game with 41 sacks. They've had 3 today. That gives them 44 sacks that they've given up on the year. They may be the new leaders in the NFL, although we'd have to keep track of all those who were close to that at the beginning of this day.
They were close. Pittsburgh was the leader, and right now we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
This is Colorado's News Channel, Channel 4, KCNC, Denver.
2nd down and 9. Plunkett takes a deep look and drops it off. Knockdown made at about the 49-yard line as Gradishar came up on Marcus Allen. That'll bring up 3rd down for Plunkett and the Raider offense.
Plunkett now hitting on 7 for 10 of his passes so far in this ball game. A good high percentage, but he has been sacked, as we said, 3 times, which has caused some problems for this Raider offense.
3rd down coming up. Denver jumped off to a 10-0 lead on a field goal by Carlos and a sack and fumble into the end zone that was recovered by Chavis for the Denver touchdown. Broncos hit on a Bauer field goal. Here's a throw to Christensen. This time the tight end is open. He has a big gain inside the 35-yard line, an 18-yard pickup, and the Raiders start to challenge.
52 passes on the year for Todd Christensen, and when a player has been that consistent, you're not going to take the football and the action away from him all day. Plunkett doing a good job of getting back and setting up, and that's just a quick flow pass across the middle. Christensen finding plenty of room and getting good yardage before they shut him down.
Raiders have a history of taking players that didn't do well with other teams. Christensen was a number 2 draft choice at Dallas, was waived, went to the Giants, was waived there. He's been outstanding. They took him from running back to tight end, and now Marcus Allen cuts back and gets inside the 25-yard line. Running hard, Marcus Allen, who set 9 NCAA records at Southern California on this field, runs it down to the 20 for a Raider 1st down.
The great running backs are a mixture of power, speed, acceleration. Allen showing you his power as he pulls out of an attempted arm tackle from number 57, Tom Jackson. You'll see it on the top of your screen here. Jackson getting good penetration, got a hold of him. Marcus just flips him off with that arm. Now watch the little moves, the little dip and go right there. It's Foley, number 43, who finally gets a hold of him, and several of the other Broncos who close it off, but not until he picked up a big 1st down.
1st down it is for the Raiders at the Denver 20. Denver holding to a 10-3 lead, 2nd quarter. Swing pass to Frank Hawkins. The Denver defense, schooled by Joe Collier, one of the best, quickly converges to the ball, a hallmark of Denver's defense. Gradishar says if you don't get in there fast, you're not going to make the tackle.
Well, this defense has played well all year, although they did lapse a little bit this last week against Seattle and did not play well against the Bears earlier in the season. But look at how many of the players are there. Randy Gradishar there first, number 53, as he is so often. Bingo. Well, how many? Count them. About a half a dozen of them right on this particular play. Jackson, one of the last to come up. But boy, there's a whole stack of them in there.
Marvin knocked somebody right off the screen coming up the block. It's now 2nd down and 5. Pitch back, 2nd back through, and the Raiders go to power football and advance the ball close to a 1st down.
Well, one of the things that the Broncos can't afford to let the Raiders do, and that's to run the ball effectively, because their passing game, if they can run the ball effectively, becomes that much more effective.
Another interesting aspect, Merlin, about the Raider organization, Al Davis has always been a proponent of drafting players from winning programs. He figures they bring an attitude in with them that really carries over to professional football.
I think that's true, but I think every scouting organization pays heed to that. I think perhaps he has over the years, favored a few of the power schools, what we call power football schools, and it's paid dividends for him.
Two tight ends in. Don Hasselbeck, now a Raider, is one tight end. Todd Christensen's the other. Third and inches for Los Angeles. Hawkins, he's ahead for a first down. It'll be first and goal for the Raiders from the 7-yard line of Denver with 4:20 to play in the first half.
Well, that's where that size advantage will begin to pay off for you. We mentioned injuries. They've had some injuries along that defensive wall for the Denver Broncos as well. And when you're outmanned and out physical sized as they are by at least 10, 12 pounds a man down that wall, you run into some real problems. Reeves contemplating what he's going to do next as he watches the Raiders get even closer to that end zone line.
Denver, over the years, has been a great team down close. They've given up a lot of yardage, but they're awfully difficult to get it in. Another big Denver defensive play by Jackson, who made one that led to a touchdown earlier. Jackson shooting the gap, makes the knockdown on Marcus Allen behind the line of scrimmage. So it'll be second and goal from about the 10.
Jackson again with a big play, shooting in from the right side. Of course, the first big play of that kind we saw was the sack that allowed for the touchdown. He got in and shut it down deep, and you need a big play. And this Denver defense, they give up a lot of yardage. They give up a lot of first downs, but their philosophy is, we'll give that up, but we're not going to give up the points. Allen now 9 times rushing for 37 yards, but I think they're going to have to go to the air if they're going to get it in here.
Let's see, it's second down and goal from the 10-yard line. Raiders down by 7, second quarter. Plunkett looks into the end zone, doesn't like to run, might have to, gets it away. His receiver fell down.
Dokie Williams, number 85, a young man from UCLA who's been very, very effective for these Raiders in the past few weeks, slipped down, and that's a wet part of this field. That's where they rolled the tarps off, and it's extremely slick down there. But as you said, Plunkett does not like to run. He did, however, come back from that sit on the bench, apparently more fit physically. Moved around extremely well last week and has moved well in this game today. He said it's in part because he wasn't beat up. You take a real pounding when you're getting hammered on all the time out there.
Well, he spent some hospital time, Jim Plunkett, with about 7 or 8 operations.
You see the kind of dominance that the Raiders have had on those third down situations, doing a good job of sustaining their drives on the day.
Third and goal, Los Angeles from the 10. Plunkett gets some time. It's going to lose it now. He gets it away and gets it incomplete at the 3-yard line.
Fumble. They're calling it a fumble. No.
Now they overrule.
Now, one of the officials on the ball had not made any marking. It had not called it incomplete. He believed it was a fumble. The 2 other officials there, both of them calling it an incomplete pass, and the ball will be a 4th down, 50 or 10-yard line, and we'll see Chris Barr again.
So the Denver Bronco does indeed stop a touchdown threat of the Raiders, and now Chris Barr back on the field, and there's the incomplete pass.
Had that been a fumble, it was recovered by the Raiders in the end zone and would indeed have been a touchdown.
That's interesting. So there was an overruling made, and it was an incomplete pass, and now field goal attempt from 28 yards out. His first was 29. This is like, oh, no. Hits the upright. Can work all week long and try to do that in practice. No good. So the Raiders with a deep drive. They were inside with first and goal from the 7. They come away with no points.
Most Air Express companies charge extra for delivery to out-of-the-way places. We don't. In fact, Federal Express can get your package to more places overnight than anybody. So if you have something that absolutely positively has to be somewhere, give us a call. Federal Express. Why fool around with anyone else?
Taking charge. 4 years ago, we introduced Chevy Citation, and it became America's most popular front-drive car. But that wasn't good enough for the engineers. Since that time, they've improved its performance, improved its ride, improved its comfort. And after making so many engineering refinements, we made one more change. The name. Announcing Chevy Citation 2. Chevrolet. And you.
Taking charge.
Basketball is back with a rematch of the championship game. Houston's Spy Slamma-Jamma battle the national champs, the Wolfpack of North Carolina State. The Hall of Fame tip-off classic on the home of great college basketball. NBC Sports.
Broncos talk about this man as being the best athlete on the field defensively, and we'll show you why they have so much respect for him. Right in the middle of your screen, number 49, going up to try and get a piece. Look how high he is in the air. Did not touch that football, however. The ball hooked off to the side by Barr, who's kicking out of the hold of David Hum, quarterback they just brought in to replace the injured quarterback Mark Wilson. But that's an exciting play by that young man.
He's a great jumper, too, Merlin. As a high school high jumper, he was a 7-foot high jumper, was also a 3-time letterman on the Southern California track team. Glenn Berman and the crew standing by in New York to update the 11th Sunday at play of the 83 season. Right now, we have 2:43 to play before the half. Winder tries to go, but doesn't get far, as the Raiders have been stuffing the Denver run all day long. Plunkett, Elway really has a terrific ability to handle the fame and celebrity that's come with his being the #1 choice and the $5 million man.
He certainly does. And I would hope that he would react as well to adversity as Plunkett has. No question. He's had some of the same knocks put on him, that they were not as good as they were reported to be, and certainly didn't deserve the kind of honors and the kind of publicity. Well, Plunkett has proved that it's not true in his case. And I think before he speaks on, well, Elway will do the same.
Right now, Plunkett on 1st and 10, dips it off, and Marcus Allen has the ball, has some open field. He's ahead for a gain of 13 yards across midfield. The Raiders have a first down as the 2-minute warning is given.
The mark of experience. Plunkett under pressure, knows that he's got to flip that football out of there. Just a little short pass, hangs it up. Big play for a first down.
So the Raiders will have 2 minutes to work when we come back.
Hi, I'm Steve Watson of the Denver Broncos to take you on a special journey 1 mile above the mile-high city of Denver. Come on! From up here, you can see from the prairies to the mountains, from Red Rocks and Pikes Peak to Mount Evans and Castle Rock. And down below, there are networks of highways and rail lines. But there is also a network of people that was created back in 1887, and it's still working today. It's the mile-high idea called the United Way. It's a network of caring, people from all walks of life, helping each other as volunteers. They raise funds and they tackle the tough problems on how those funds can be best used to help people in need. Because of your support of United Way, that mile-high idea, that network of caring is still there. Thanks to you, it works for all of us. The United Way.
The preceding announcement was furnished as a public service by Steve Watson in the National Football League. Haven't seen him catch any today, Merlin.
No, he hasn't. He's got a problem with his hand, a dislocated finger. You saw it on the left hand there. That and the fact that the Raiders have paid a great deal of attention to him defensively.
Yep, that dislocated finger on an Elway pass. In practice, there's a long ball into the end zone. It's a long out, though. And as you really saw some speed on display there, two of the great ones, Branch on the fly pattern and Louis Wright. None better, right with him, stride for stride.
And if you have questions about the strength of Jim Plunkett's arm, that ball was in the air 60 yards and thrown very accurately over that distance. The defender's right there at the last. Receiver stretching for it, but unable to get there. That's good defense by the two backs who were on top of him there. But what a powerful shot from Plunkett. Still able to throw that football.
He hasn't lost arm strength. And the amazing Mr. Wright. Right with Branch. So now it's 2nd down and 10. Raiders trail 10-3. Here's a strike to the tight end Todd Christensen, who was shut down through the first quarter and a half, but has started to come on now. Jackson knocks him down. Raiders get it inside the 40-yard line of Denver with 1:43 to play.
Again, an example of the Raider philosophy. Show the defense you're not afraid to go after them deep. Make them respect your long ball, and then come back and hurt them underneath. That pass puts them close to the first down. They're going to have to go for it on a 3rd and about 2 yards to go, a little less than 2.
Dan Reeves, one of the youngest coaches in the National Football League, talked about his system, the Dallas system, being kind of complicated for a rookie quarterback to grasp. And maybe he did, as you point out, Merlin, give John Elway too much to work with early. Elway told us before the game he really had tunnel vision. He couldn't even get a play off. It's all changed now. He's a very confident man and has quarterbacked very well today. Next Sunday, join host Len Berman as NFL 83 starts today with feature reports and a preview of the day's games. Then it's an NFL doubleheader beginning at 12:30 Eastern Time. The LA Raiders go to Buffalo. The Bills move to a first-place tie in the AFC East today, upsetting the Jets. Other games include Baltimore at Miami, Cleveland at New England, San Diego at St. Louis, Houston at Cincinnati. The second half of the doubleheader features an interconference game between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Dallas Cowboys, or Seattle at Denver. Check your local listings for the game and the times in your area. Third down and a little over a yard for the Raiders with 1:43 to play in the first half. Over the top for the first down, Marcus Allen. An excellent athlete, was drafted as a defensive back, really, out of high school in San Diego. He was also a high school quarterback.
Certainly a good athlete, and right here shows you the kind of jumping ability he has. Way over the top. They're going quickly on the field with no huddle.
I'd say he was recruited by USC, not drafted. Here's Marcus Allen with the ball again. Loses it, and that's a free ball, and the Broncos have it.
Now they're calling it down. Official right on the spot says he's on the ground. They came right back without a huddle, realizing the clock is ticking down now. Minute 5, minute 4, and they're back again with no huddle.
Plunkett swings it out.
Oh, look out.
Hawkins has the ball, and he's knocked down at the 30 with 52 seconds to play.
Louis Wright coming right up to say hello. I asked Louis, I said, Louis, these wide receivers getting any faster? He said, well, he said, used to only be 1 or 2 of them that I'd have to really worry about running with. He said, now I got one every week. I don't know, maybe Louis is losing a little bit of that edge, but he's certainly not lost any of his awareness, nor has he lost his excitement about the game. A great defensive back for many, many years, comes up and puts a clinching tackle on Hawkins, number 27. That's the kind of play that's earned him so many postseason honors and trips to the Pro Bowl.
He really has been a great player for 9 years now. They talk about a few fiery players igniting a whole defense, and Wright's one of them. Big plays for years and years for the Broncos. Reeves is hot. He maybe should be. Thought he had a fumble there. His team did.
Official right on the ball, and the ruling is if the ball bounces loose as a result of contact with the ground, it's not a fumble. The ball must be broken loose before that ball carrier hits the ground. Of course, the official was there to make that call. Plunkett doing a good job. 117 yards, 12 for 20.
He's not been intercepted, but he did give up a fumble when he was sacked from the blind side, and that fumble led to the game's only touchdown. It's 10-3 right now, Denver. Time running out in the first half. Here's a throw, and the ball is caught by Christensen. He's down to the 13-yard line. Great throw by Plunkett. Good for a 17-yard gain. A crossing pattern, and he hit the open man.
Plunkett signaling that they're going to come right back now and go for without a huddle again. Clock ticking down, 31 seconds, 30.
Plunkett goes to the end zone. There's a man there, and it's bobbled and lost. Very nearly a Malcolm Barnwell reception for a touchdown. A sprinter from Virginia Union.
That's the kind of speed that allows you to get deep. Barnwell, a sprinter, working one-on-one on Louis Wright. Wright staying step for step with him, but there was a chance to catch that ball. It was perfectly thrown. And you're going to get a percentage of those, but that's a tough play when you come right back without a huddle and hit them deep down that sideline.
Incomplete pass, stopping the clock with 24 seconds to play in the first half. Chris Barr is 1 for 2. His last was no good. It's a 10-3 game. The Raiders trailing.
The Raiders want 7 here. They would much rather have a touchdown. They'd like to go in with a tie at halftime.
Plunkett. Here's a blitz. Plunkett has a problem, and Mecklenburg, the rookie, comes up and gets him. The 4th sack of Jim Plunkett in the first half. A rookie from Minnesota drafted in the 12th round. Carl Mecklenburg made the stop behind the line of scrimmage. Another big defensive play.
Broncos said today they had to put that kind of pressure on Plunkett, had to force him to make the bad plays. They certainly have done it here in the first half.
Now a 42-yard field goal. That'll be the final play of the first half. Barr hits it. It's plenty long, and it's through. So the Raiders get points, but they don't get that tying touchdown, and they'll go to the locker. Well, there's 2 seconds left in the second quarter. The Los Angeles Raiders now trailing Denver 10-6 after another Chris Barr field goal. We'll have time for the Raiders to kick off to Denver. Raiders have been down close a number of times, Merlin, but still have not put up that 6 number.
No, they haven't. And we talked earlier about the Denver defensive philosophy. They'll give you some yardage, but they really do come up with the big plays. And that sack by Mecklenburg, another example. They're really high on that young man. Number 77, you'll see him coming from the outside here. It's a stunt with Rulon Jones. Jones holding 2 of the offensive linemen, and Mecklenburg speedy to the inside, whipping Plunkett to the ground.
They project Mecklenburg, Merlin, as being an A.J. Dewey type. He only weighs about 235 and has had trouble gaining weight, but he's so fast that they're going to put him as a down lineman and maybe as a roving linebacker.
Well, certainly with the new rules in the game, the advantage goes to the speedy defensive lineman. And he certainly has that.
Ground ball hit downfield, and the Broncos fall on it, and that will do it. Len Berman and the NFL 83 crew is standing by in New York as here at the Coliseum in Los Angeles. That's the end of the first half with a score. The Broncos 10, the Raiders 6. NFL 83 coming up after these messages.
Whether you're out in the country or down in the town, there's a new way of living, and it's getting around. A truck you can live with.
Whether you're taking your family or going alone, there's a great way to get there. Come on and make it your own. GMC, a truck you can live with.
Coors to you, the clean of it. Coors to you, the fresh of it. Coors to you, the best of it. The best of the Rockies is yours.
The clean of the Rockies, the fresh of the Rockies. Brewed the Coors way, natural and pure.
Coors to you, the clean of it. All night through, the fresh of it. Rocky Mountain Gold, you got it. The best of the Rockies is yours.
For the first time in his life, he's struggling, having a hard time in math.
They're playing extremely hard going down the home stretch. As far as Baltimore's concerned, a lot of young teams, their major adjustment is the length of the season. They may have peaked early, and we'll find that out in the next 4 or 5 weeks.
All right, Ahmad. Lenny? All right, let's go through the late scores before we get off here. The game you're watching at halftime, Denver holding the Raiders without a touchdown, 10-6 at half. San Diego, this could be the shock of the day, 14-0 over Dallas second quarter. A battle for first place at Candlestick is all 49ers, 17-zip at halftime. And in the Meadowlands, bad day all around for New York. Washington over the Giants, 16-3 at halftime. When we continue on NFL 83, we will have a positive story about what some athletes are doing to help youngsters overcome drug and alcohol problems. We'll have that story right after these words from your local station.
The heroes in our lives come in all varieties. Some are truly lifesavers. Other heroes are friends and neighbors who come through when they're really needed. I'm Rosemary Collins, and I'd like to meet the hero in your life. Please send your nominations to the Hero Next Door. Then watch for the Hero Next Door every Friday on News Center 4.
Timing. When you have it, performance is at its peak. At Dean Bosworth, we try to find investment opportunities that are not only fundamentally sound, but timed to achieve peak performance.
Announcing the new Power and Compact trucks. Nissan 484, the most powerful standard engine in its class, the biggest payload, the highest minimum ground clearance, the one and only King Cab. Nissan technology builds major motion. At your Datsun dealer.
Why do business travelers choose United to the West?
Back in 1865, when we first started making Stetsons, nobody headed west without one of these. Nowadays, I don't head west without one of these. Because just about everywhere in the West the hat business takes me, United can take me.
United serves more major cities in the West than anyone.
And that's how the West was won.
People who fly for a living fly United's friendly skies.
Watch Coping with Divorce, beginning Monday at 5 and 10 on News Center 4.
back in New York, we often hear about drug problems in sports, but we don't often hear about possible solutions. One such program aimed at kids is being run by a noted sports psychologist in conjunction with the National Football League Players Association. This program is called Super Teams. Here's a look. The target, schoolboy athletes. The program started this fall in Johnson City, New York, with 54 high school football players. The message, drugs and alcohol are not socially acceptable. Why target young athletes?
We felt that the athletes were the most influential groups and had a great impact upon all youngsters within the school community. And if they could learn to say no and impact the other students, we could change the norms within that school and within the nation as well.
The schoolboy athletes involved signed contracts, but unlike pro players, no money's involved. Their contract is a commitment with a pro player like Clark Gaines, the former Jet running back.
Super Teams developed a contract between the athletes, the school community, and the parents. The contract basically consists of three parts: an academic, social, and athletic. Academically, the kids agreed to a 2.5 grade point average, or a C+. Socially, the kids agreed not to use alcohol or drugs during the playing season. And athletically, it was an agreement both individually and as a team.
Now that the program has run full cycle, it's deemed successful. Both the athletes and parents have noticed the changes, but like anything else in life, it has been difficult at times.
We took a lot of peer pressure from the kids. They thought a lot about, that we were going to change so much that we couldn't be, like kids anymore, that they'd, that we're going to be so much different from other people, that we couldn't go out and have a good time without drinking or, smoking.
Working with the pro athletes, the Super Teams, it's got me more involved, and I'm able to speak up more and tell people what I really think, and, I get involved more. I think I've become more open.
Since our son attended this Super Teams program, we have noticed he's gone from somewhat of a follower to a leader. Right now, his outlook in life has tremendously changed.
I find myself not having that much, alcohol or whatever you want to call it. But he's more or less set me straight, too.
It's done a lot. And just as a mother, seeing my own son at home and listening to him, it's wonderful. Everybody should try it.
It's very nice. Joining us now is Clark Gaines, the former Jet running back. Clark also works with us behind the scenes here at NBC. It seems very idealistic. Great athletes dealing with young kids. Does it really work?
Yes, Lenny, it really does. I mean, it sounds idealistic, but it works. And the reason it works is because of the professional athletes and the way in which Dr. Edwards has incorporated these athletes into his design. It's really a terrific program.
How do you feel about pro athletes having some kind of an obligation to kids? Do they, or is their only obligation to do well on the football field?
I think we do have an obligation and a responsibility to these young people because we are role models, and they see us in that light. And I think that we here at Super Teams and the Super Teams program, we're trying to depict that image for those kids.
All right. Well, thank you. I'm glad we could give it some publicity here today on NBC, and you're to be commended for the work you do. And it should be pointed out to our viewers that nobody makes any money, nobody's paid. And if you'd like some more information on Super Teams, drop us a line here at NBC Sports. A reminder for you now that primetime boxing coming up on NBC a week from Friday. Larry Holmes and Marvish Frazier. That comes up at 9 o'clock Eastern Time, Friday, November 25th. We'll be back with more as our halftime activities continue.
The Denver Broncos, looking for a share of first place in the AFC West, made some big plays early, and they lead the Raiders 10-6. We'll be back after these messages in a word from your local station.
The RCA SelectaVision Video Monitor is a high-performance television and more. It's designed to get the most from your video components. Video cassette recorders, video disc players, and even your stereo. Simply plug in for a better picture and true stereo sound. The RCA SelectaVision Video Monitor, quite simply, incredible. See your RCA dealer for special values through December 24th.
There's a feeling that's been born in this country that we love. It's our guts and grit and energy that drive the rise above. Go for it, America. Got the gusto now.
Here's to the guys who are making America great. From the guys who make Schlitz, a great American beer.
Have a Schlitz, America. You got the gusto.
Soon the U.S. Olympic team will be heading to Los Angeles for the Summer Games. They'll fly United, the official airline. This fall, every time you fly United, United donates free mileage to the program. Up to 5 million miles of free travel. The more times you fly, the more free miles they fly. It's United's 5 million mile challenge, and the winner is your Olympic team.
United, official airline of the 1984 Olympic Games.
Hero or coward, tyrant or saint, playboy or president. Kennedy begins November 20th.
I'm Rich Little with the Colorado Lottery's new instant game, Tic-Tac-Toe. Ready, Stars?
Ready, Rich.
Duke, tell us how to win.
Well, Pilgrim.
Never mind. Edith?
Ow, it's so easy. There's 9 ways to win.
Stifle yourself, Jingbad. Let's talk about what I could buy when we win. One could win $20,000 instantaneously.
Or send in 5 non-winning tickets, and you could win the $1,000 a week for life.
We're out of time here, so play Tic-Tac-Toe.
Watch Coping with Divorce, beginning Monday at 5 and 10 on News Center 4.
Back at the Coliseum in Los Angeles, the Denver Broncos a surprise leader, 10-6 over the favored L.A. Raiders. These teams looking for a share of first place. The Broncos are if they can win today. Don Criqui with Merlin Olsen. Merlin, it's been an interesting game, and again, the Denver defense, which has won a lot of games for this team, came up with a big play in the first half.
Well, they've made turnovers the difference in several of their big games this year, and one particular turnover was the difference so far in this game. Jackson, number 57, from the backside. Plunkett didn't have a chance, couldn't hang on to the football. Barney Chavis right there to turn it into 7 points. And, of course, they were able to hang on enough to force 2 field goals, and that's the difference in the ball game to this point.
One mistake by the Raiders, but it was a critical one. John Elway didn't have a great first half, but he played sound football and didn't turn it over.
Well, a passing attack for the Broncos, 0 yards in the second quarter. I wouldn't give either of these quarterbacks good marks, not necessarily that good of marks in the first half of this ball game. But I think the one thing that is starting to emerge in this ball game is a dominance by the Raider offensive line. And we're beginning to see it in the running game for the Raiders. And I'm afraid that that might turn the difference in their favor in the second half.
The Raiders kept threatening, but the Bronco defense somehow find a way to hold them off. We'll see if that can continue. I would think not, though. It looks like the Raiders are going to get in pretty soon.
Well, the Raiders have a way of sneaking up on you in a ball game like this, and that puts an extra amount of pressure on the Bronco defense, on people like Randy Gratishar, Louis Wright, and the rest of them. Down on the field, the Broncos will be kicking the ball off. Rich Carlos, a barefooted kicker, is already teeing the ball up. This day continues to be as impressive as any I've ever seen for football.
And answered it when the Raiders have been down close, allowing Los Angeles only 2 first-half field goals. 10-6 Denver.
Not a good punt.
No, not from Ray Guy. It hits at the midfield line, goes right up in the air. Now takes a Raider roll inside the 40-yard line of the Broncos. Denver starts out with its first possession of the third quarter, 1st and 10 from the Denver 38-yard line. The count holds 10-6. Broncos in the lead. We'll be back right after this.
There is a revolution on the American road, an automotive revolution led by Dodge. The latest evidence, Dodge Daytona Turbo Z. Backed by standard 550 protection, turbocharged, fuel-injected, front-wheel drive. The fantastically balanced, performance-bred Dodge Daytona Turbo Z.
Bronco offense comes out. Merlin, John's about due for completion.
Well, it's a sputtering offense right now. I'm sure Reeves wants Elway to get it on track. He's got to have some help to do it. Oh, no.
At a different snap count, his center, Bill Bryan, was waiting for
I think that's Elway. I think that's Elway. When you don't see any of the other offensive people move,
you know that the quarterback, and I'm sure what's happened here, he's got a lot of things on his mind. He's trying to do everything down there right now, maybe trying to do too much. I think that's one of the problems he had earlier in the year. Well,
Going out without the ball, number 7 of the offense. It's still first down.
That's an embarrassing moment for a quarterback. He said, hey, guys, I'll tell you one thing. No matter what kind of season he's had, this young man's going to be a great quarterback. And it's just a matter of letting him fight through all these problems to get there.
You can still get just about a full team if they wanted to put him up for trade. Elway gets time. There's the long ball. Going for it is Upchurch, but it's going to be intercepted at the 20-yard line by Van McElroy, the free safety.
That's McElroy's 5th interception on the season, and that was kind of a gimme. The ball underthrown. Elway trying to get the ball deep. Had the receiver down there, although he was well covered. Forced the pass, and of course the reception is by one of the men in black. McElroy, who had to wait a long time for that pass to come, almost had to fair catch that one.
Alert play by Lester Hayes, was ready to tip it away, then saw McElroy ready in position to intercept and let it go. So the Raiders get it back for their second possession of the third quarter with 13:01 to play in the third period. The Raiders with the ball at their 20-yard line. Cliff Branch comes out wide to the left. Malcolm Barnwell's on the right flank. Kenny King and Marcus Allen, the setbacks behind Jim Plunkett. This is Marcus Allen running. And Allen, with good moves, weaves his way ahead for a gain of 8 yards to the 28-yard line.
What could have been and probably would have been with a lesser back, a 3-yard loss, turns into a big gain. Number 50, Jim Ryan, had shot into the backfield, had Allen dead to rights. Allen just scooted inside and got upfield for a nice gain. 11 times he's run the ball now, 48 yards. He's close to a 100-yard clip for the day. As I said, I'm beginning to feel the dominance of that big Raider offensive line.
In the second quarter, it was evident, and is again now, as the Raiders run again, and they go ahead for a first down. Kenny King carries this time. Marcus Allen with 11 carries today. He's averaging about 16 carries a game. Randy Gradishar probably playing for the last time in the Los Angeles Coliseum for 10 years. One of the very best in pro football.
I don't think any linebacker that I've ever seen play the game has a better nose for the football than Randy Gradishar. Came into this game with 136 tackles on the season and over the last 10 years of his career, and that's an impressive period of time. No one has made more tackles in football than Randy Gradishar.
Most in the NFL over the last decade, closing in on 2,000 tackles is Gradishar. Plunkett looks to throw and does, and completes the ball to the 35-yard line. And Marcus Allen, and Gradishar is quickly on him.
Look who's there. And Gradishar, who's announced his retirement at the end of this season, will be going out while he's still very physical and very healthy. At the same time, he said, look, I've got a lot of things I want to do with my life, and if I'm not healthy, I won't be able to do them. And on top of that, one thing that he's very proud of is the quality and the character of his play. The fact that he has had such high standards as an athlete. He said, I don't want to play in a couple of years where I would be embarrassed about what I'm doing on the field.
He might hang around till he's 40 and not be embarrassed. He's still as good as there is. But as you mentioned, this will be his last season. Gradishar in his 10th year. Now Plunkett on 2nd and 6. The rush is on. He gets it away, and good coverage by Louis Wright on the tight end Christensen. Incomplete pass.
The Denver defense taking additional pressure because of the sputtering offense, and that's something that they have been responding to all this season. But certainly at this moment, putting a lot of pressure on Plunkett and doing a good job. And look at that score, 17-6, as San Diego continues to lead Dallas into the third quarter. What a good job that San Diego offense is doing.
Really
defense.
Yeah, holding the winning Cowboys, a 9-1 team, and now we see the San Francisco 49ers doing well. So are the Washington Redskins, looking for their 9th win of the season against a team that's all but run up the white flag, the New York Giants. 3rd down and 5. Plunkett with a problem, gets it away, and almost a completion.
Wow.
Dennis Smith, the old teammate of Marcus Allen, they exchange shoves and then help each other up.
Marcus angry again on that play. Has lost his cool a couple of times today. Plunkett getting tremendous heat as the blitz was all over him on that play. Still able to deliver the ball. Randy Gradishar We've shown him earlier. You see the intensity of the man. He's right there trying to get in there and jump the count. Missed it on that particular play. Still fighting to the inside. That's Mickey Marvin, 65. Now that's the kind of play that is spectacular. Going from one piece of action to another, finding that football.
Here's the punt again by Ray Guy. Hits it well and very high. Zach Thomas takes it and takes 3 consecutive hits in the Raiders, but holds on to the ball. Denver gets it back at the 24-yard line. A 41-yard punt by Ray Guy, but it was very high and it was not returned for any yardage. So Elway and the Bronco offense still leading 10-6. We'll try again when we come back.
Here comes the all-time favorite on a sesame seed bun. He's McDonald's Big Mac. He's always been #1. The leader of the pack. McDonald's Great Big Mac. 2 pure beef patties, lettuce, pickles going in. Special sauce is a hit. Gotta give him a spin. Mellow cheese melting down, down. He's at the top of the charts, all over town. Leader of the pack, Big Mac. McDonald's and you.
Introducing the longest rust-through protection truck warranty in America. 5 years or 100,000 miles.
We are Dodge, and this is how we back our trucks.
At no extra cost on all new 84 full-size pickups and Ram Chargers. Plus, cash back from Dodge. $500 on 250 and 350 pickups, and $400 on Ram Chargers. At Dodge, we don't just talk quality, we prove it.
We are Dodge. Dodge trucks are Ram trucks.
Sunday, it's an NFL 83 doubleheader. The Raiders look to the playoffs against the Bills from Buffalo. Then the Wild West show continues. The Chiefs take on the Cowboys, plus other regional action on NBC.
One of the most famous stadiums in America, and it, of course, will be the site of the opening ceremonies next July when the '84 Summer Olympic Games begin in Los Angeles. Right now, the home field and the Raiders are down to the Denver Broncos 10-6, third quarter. Elway pitch back. Nathan Poole runs and gets some yards. The Broncos have gotten very few running the ball today.
Well, they've also had very few first downs. In fact, they've only managed 3 first downs on the day. You just can't control a football game when you can't control the football. So far today, the Broncos have been operating, of course, as we said, with some real disadvantages, mainly in the injuries to their running backs. They've had to change their strategy and go with 2 tight ends, 4 wide receivers, 1 running back, and they have just not been able to be effective against one of the strongest defenses in the NFL.
John Elway, you see his numbers, 4 for 13, leading 4-13 for the 64 first half yards. Standing in, taking a look. Boy, he's got the gun, lets it go, and Upchurch is out there, but again, it is this time lost. Otis McKinney had the ball and lost it. Elway's arm is so strong, he threw that almost falling back.
One of the ways to tell about a quarterback's relaxation and how comfortable he is to watch his feet. Let's watch Elway. Look how fast he is to set up. But I'll tell you, they're back on him already. Look at those nervous feet. He could feel the pressure, and now you see those feet come right off the ground as he is just knocked.
Working hard when the pressure's on could mean perspiration odor. Right Guard antiperspirant helps stop wetness better than the leading spray, as it kills the bacteria that can cause perspiration odor.
Sammy Winder having a problem holding onto the ball. In fairness to Sammy, you see that right hand heavily taped. He's got a bad thumb, and he couldn't hold it. He was holding with the right hand when it was knocked away.
It looks like they're looking at the leg of Mike Davis there. You see him diving right at the back there, and then you see the ball knocked away. Nelson reached in from behind, swatted that ball away. McElroy, the man who got over and got on top of it, he's finally knocked down before he can get too far. But the Raiders have the football. That's the second turnover of the second half, and they have excellent field position.
No turnovers for the Broncos in the first half. The Raiders had one that led directly to a touchdown. Here's a throw downfield. Kenny King caught the ball out of bounds. Good-looking play, but he was 2 feet the wrong way.
And think he was more than 2 feet out of bounds. Maybe he was looking at that white line on the outside of the first white line, but he was way out of bounds for that one. And, of course, that's a quarterback's responsibility, too. Look how far he is out. I don't even think he would have been in bounds on the second white line. Plunkett right now 16 for 27 on the day, 138 yards, but still will go deep. And, again, the reason for that, he wants to stretch this defense. The Broncos, again, willing to give a few yards, but they've been toughest when they've had their back against the wall.
They've demonstrated that all game long. The Raiders have challenged continually, but have only come away with 2 field goals so far. Denver still leads 10-6. Now the Raiders go to the run, and Frank Hawkins, a hard running back from Nevada at Reno. Although you didn't hear much about him coming out of college, he was 3rd all-time in NCAA rushing, over 5,000 yards. Frank Hawkins, who rushed for 122 against the Cowboys in the upset win.
Now, before this game started, Dan Reeves said that he felt this game would be a game that was lost and not won, and his reasoning was that someone was going to make costly turnovers. Well, you saw the first turnover, and the result in 7 points by the Raiders, and now here in the early going of the second half, 2 very costly turnovers by the Broncos.
8.5 to go in the 3rd quarter. We haven't seen the last of the turnovers in all probability. Here's a throw to an open man. Cliff Branch took the corner deep, Harden, and then turned out on him. And the Raiders have a first down inside the Denver 15-yard line. Staying away from Mr. Wright, going at Harden.
And this is the area of the field that the Bronco defense has been toughest today. Plunkett getting a good shot here. Good play. You see him looking right, setting the play up. And again, they respect this man so much, Cliff Branch, that they just have to give him room. The end result, he takes advantage of it. And a nice completion for a first down. Let's see if they can get inside and get tight.
Cliff Branch, 12th year in the league, hasn't lost a step. Marcus Allen rockets up free football. And the Broncos think they have it, and the official's going to signal the same. First official stepped in and waved that way, and now they make it official, and so the turnovers start to pile up. A second for the Raiders stops another Los Angeles drive.
With most teams going to zone defenses down inside the 20-yard line, teams have gone more and more to running plays. But you've got to hang on to the pumpkin. Marcus Allen inside, and the ball stripped away. The man who comes up with it, number 53, Randy Gradishar.
Televideo personal computers equip the professional for success. Because Televideo's innovative design produces powerful, sensibly priced computers that communicate with one another and grow as rapidly as you do. Televideo, personal computers that equip you to attain that most coveted objective, a business boom. Televideo, personal computers. Get in, boom.
Who makes the best-built American cars? Based on National Highway Traffic Safety recall data over the last 2 years, Chrysler does, because Chrysler had the lowest % of recalls. And only Chrysler has the confidence to back the cars it builds for 5 years or 50,000 miles, with protection on the engine, powertrain, and against outer body rust-through. Based on recalls alone, Chrysler makes the best-built American cars, and with 550 protection, they're not only the best built, they're the best backed.
We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
This is Colorado's News Channel, Channel 4, KCNC, Denver.
Randy Gradishar and the Denver defense just came up with another big play, stopping the Raider drive. Merlin, maybe he'll think about not retiring.
He may indeed. I know that Dan Reeves will be talking to him about that.
The handoff on the run goes up the middle. There's some pushing and shoving and a penalty marker in addition, and Denver Bronco is down. Jack Egloff shaken up.
Ron Egloff. Yeah, no question that they don't want him on the ground. We mentioned earlier that they've gone through 7 tight ends during this season, and that's one of the few that stayed healthy. He was knocking on wood in the dressing room earlier. I said, how have you been so lucky? He said, I don't know. So I just dodged the bullets, I guess. But I talked to some of the coaches and players for the Broncos. They don't want to see Randy Gradishar go. It's his decision. And Reeves, I think, will do everything he can to try and talk Randy into coming back for another year. But he does have a lot of options. He knows that he has other things he'd like to do with his life. And, well, there are the yardage on the day. And you understand how important this Bronco defense is when you look at what the Raiders have been able to do and then look at the scoreboard and realize that they're still behind on the scoreboard.
Offensive numbers certainly don't reflect the scoreboard. Denver continues to lead 10-6. They scored their points early in the game. They led 10-0 in the first quarter.
Holding during the run. Number 64 of the offense. Half the distance to the goal. Still first down.
That's Billy Bryant, the center. Most dependable of those Bronco offensive linemen. And he's the glue that holds that offense together as far as the line goes.
Excellent center. He was the offensive MVP for the Broncos last season, was Billy Bryant. Now, a 1st and 15 play. Winder puts his head down, but all he finds is a silver and black helmet to run into. As the Raiders continue to stop the Denver running game cold. And right now, Denver needs room to operate, because if they have to punt it away from their own end zone, the Raiders will be back knocking again.
Well, and you find it hard to criticize a man who's pressed into service with a dislocated thumb and doing his best out there, but Winder has not run aggressively today, has been tentative in the way he's come into the line, and that has been a real deficit. He's run the ball now 10 times and has gained only 6 yards for the Bronco offense.
And the carry previous to that, of course, was the fumble. And the Broncos took it right back from the Los Angeles Raiders. And now with Elway throwing a sharp ball into the middle, Upchurch makes a dive, but it's incomplete. And 3rd down, and 13 comes up for the Broncos inside their 6-yard line.
Well, you're not going to fool anybody with a play-action pass on that play. When your running game is not going, there's no sense in trying to fool people with play-action. Working one-on-one on Lester Hayes, and he does it as well as anyone around. Reads the play inside, and that ball is catchable, but it's thrown so hard. Elway has such a powerful arm, and he is really shooting that ball. I don't think he wants the interception here, but he's making it awful hard on his receivers to catch those footballs.
Now the new wide receiver in the game, a rookie from San Diego State, Clint Sampson, and
4 wide receivers
deployed.
Zach Thomas, little draw play.
Nothing. Broncos try to catch the Raiders in the full pass rush, but it doesn't work. Bill Pickell, a rookie from Rutgers.
Oh, boy. Nathan Poole, who's the only virtually healthy back that the Broncos have, is still on the ground. Boy, they're going to have to hire an extra trainer. Poole has carried 5 times for 7 yards on the day, but let's give some credit to this Raider defense.
Tremendous.
They have made it very, very difficult for the Broncos to operate today. And mentioned earlier that statistically they rank very high, number 4 in the NFL total defense, 6th against the rush, 6th against the pass, and they've proved themselves very well today. On the whole afternoon, first half and second half, 13 yards rushing by the Denver offense, and woof. Boy, you.
Marcus Allen on the payoff run, end of a touchdown run, the first of the day for the Los Angeles Raiders, and they now take the lead after the extra point by Barr, 13-10. You have to think, Merlin, that Elway's got to hit the big play because the Broncos aren't going to get in position to score running, at least the way this game has gone.
No, I'm sure the Raider defense thinking exactly with you, Don.
Barr kicks it off. Zach Thomas. There's a full gainer out to the 23-yard line. Broncos going offense there, 1st and 10. 21-yard return.
Otis McKinney, the man down to seal off that play. Zach Thomas trying to find a little room, would like to have brought that one out. I'll tell you, they're in a tough position down there, though. Broncos have not been able to run the ball effectively, have not been able to get enough time for Elway to really be comfortable back there. The Raiders will continue to pressure him and harass him and hope he makes another mistake.
Elway takes a look, loops it out. Will Hyde is in the game, and he catches the ball for a first down for the Broncos all the way out to the 44-yard line. 20-yard game. Gerald Wilhite is finally heard from.
And Wilhite limping as he finished that run. As we mentioned, he had been held out of the lineup because of injuries. They put Egloff back in there in a kind of a shotgun, a wishbone position to do some blocking. Howie Long put the pressure on. This is a fine throw by Elway. Now watch Wilhite as he pulls up on that sore hamstring, pulling back on it. But you see why they're so sorry to have him out of the lineup. He is a real threat.
In for one play, resulting in a 20-yard gain. So the Broncos have it now 1st and 10. Pitch back to Poole, who's back in. And again, the silver and black stops the Denver run. Nothing at all with 5:25 to play in the third quarter, and the Raiders now in the lead 13-10 after trailing 10-0 in the first quarter and trailing the Broncos 10-6 at halftime.
The Denver defense had kept the pressure off the offense as long as they could, but now with the lead transferred into Raider hands, the pressure squarely on the Denver offense. They've got to get more points. A matter of getting the ball down the field. Second and 10. Raiders looking pass all the way. They'll have the defensive linemen coming all out. Let's see if they can handle them on the line of scrimmage.
Single-digit numbers for the Broncos running the ball. Elway had a strike, but the man could not hold on. Ron Egloff coming across the middle is losing the ball at the 40-yard line. The throw was there, but a little bit low for Egloff.
So was Mike Davis there, right on top of Egloff, making it difficult for him to handle that football. And boy, those are hard passes to catch. Those are zippers, and in the late afternoon light, not easy.
Raiders, Merlin, probably play man-to-man defense more than any team in the league. Bud Grant, the coach of the Vikings, said he's not a proponent of that. Says one good thing about the man-to-man, if there's a mistake, you know who to blame.
Now, they're going to be even tougher here in a couple of weeks. We'll talk about that after this play.
Third 10 from the shotgun. Elway sets. He's going to run. He's got to run now. He's over the line of scrimmage, and he bails out with the 12th man saving him. As all smart quarterbacks do. One that didn't was a guy you played against many times, Joe Kapp. But Grant asked him one day, he says, how come you never run out of bounds? You always want to take on a linebacker. He says, running out of bounds is for gringos.
Well, you mentioned one of the all-time crazy quarterbacks, but one of the toughest too, Kapp. I don't blame Elway for going out of bounds. He's not going to win the game with that one situation. He didn't have anyone open downfield anyway. But it has been a frustrating afternoon for that young man.
Everybody on both of these teams is well aware that two starting quarterbacks went out last week with injuries. Prestridge to punt the ball. He squib-kicked it. At the wrong part of that one, it's going to go out of bounds at about the 35-yard line.
One of the most dependable parts of this Bronco team has been their special teams. And in the last 2 weeks, special teams have let them down. Prestridge running in a crucial situation last week, did not get a punt off, put his team in bad position, score followed. And right here in a situation where he would dearly have loved to put them down deep, he squibs it off the side of his foot, 14 yards. Well, that's an ugly punt.
Ugly as an unplayable lie. Upset at Foxborough. Patriots beat the Dolphins 17-6. Miami 7-4. New England now 6-5. Upset at New York. Buffalo gains a share of the AFC Eastern lead, beating the Jets in a come-from-behind win. Green Bay upset the Vikings at Minneapolis today. Kansas City, and that was an upset. Cincinnati went in favored, beating the Cincinnati Bengals. KC over them. Bears haven't won many. They won one today at Soldier Field over the Philadelphia Eagles. The pitch back. Marcus Allen running, looking for room, and he finds number 66 there, Bryson Manor, to make the stop. Both these teams, the Broncos and the Raiders, were aided today by the development of St. Louis, where the Cardinals upset Seattle 33-28.
Tom Jackson certainly providing some inspiration early in the game. They'd like him to make another one of those inspirational plays here, coming all the way across on the backside, gets a handful of black jersey. They'd like to strip the football away. They're thinking turnover right now on the Denver Bronco defense.
They forced two big ones. One led to the first touchdown of the game. The other stopped a Raider drive not that long ago. Plunkett pump faking, home run ball. A man is out there, and Louis Wright, look at this play by Wright, who lost his man, recovered, and then very nearly intercepted. Malcolm Barnwell running the fly. Looked like he was going to catch the ball. Wright came back, tipped it up in the air, and very nearly intercepted.
Great concentration by both the receiver and the defender. Malcolm Barnwell sensing the underthrow of the ball. Louis Wright right on top of him. The ball batted high. You'll see it here. Wright getting a shot to bat it, and the ball hangs up there. Louis just fighting for a position, and you see the frustration. Had a feeling he might get a shot at it there, but it drops out of his hands. Plunkett's numbers not terribly impressive, but very solid. 18 for 30, 156 yards on the day.
Both Raider turnovers on fumbles. Plunkett's not been intercepted. Now he swings it out to Frank Hawkins, who heard Jackson coming. And that's worth hearing because Jackson is a sticker. 3 times in the Pro Bowl. Jackson made a play today that led to the first touchdown when he sacked Plunkett from the blind side, and the fumbled ball in the end zone was recovered by Chavis for a touchdown for Denver.
We've talked a lot about the linebackers for the Denver Broncos today. That Merle Moore, linebacker coach for these Broncos, put together a great linebacking unit up there in Denver and then went out to coach for the Raiders. Now has gone back to Denver and has managed to put some youth into linebacking core there that, again, is really taking charge on the field.
Zach Thomas, who ran back a punt for a touchdown in the first Raider-Bronco game, coming up to fair catch this one. He loses the ball. Raiders have it. 28-yard line. The Broncos still have it. 2 Raiders were on it.
Well, I'll be darned. It looked like that ball is controlled on the sideline, but the referees are indicating a Bronco football, and almost shades of last week on a short punt. Zach Thomas dropped one last week, took his eyes off of it. The ball was turned over and turned into a touchdown. 2 of the Raiders fighting for the ball, and look at that. He just slipped in and stole the football. Zach Thomas got over there and made amends for that mistake. Got over there and snipped that football out. Gives it back to the offense.
Merlin Zach better take a page from Greg Pruitt. Fumbled his in the pregame.
Well, I'll tell you, that is frightening. And
here's some more. There's the big final that affects the AFC West. The Cardinals, who haven't won many, upset the Seattle Seahawks. Cleveland blanking Tampa Bay. They won in 10, and so are the Houston Oilers. They won today. Beat the Lions. 1st and 10 to the run. Winder looks for room, and finally they break a play. The first successful run play for over 10 yards of the day for the Denver Broncos. A gain of 13 yards on the play, 16 yards all the way out to the 43-yard line.
Dan Reeves says it's about time we got to run. Here it is right here. Winder taking a little inside handoff. Raiders, I think, anticipating pass, have been able to shut off most of the running plays. Mike Davis, number 36, comes up and puts a stick on Winder, but Winder's finally got them a first down rushing the ball, and I believe that's a first for the day.
It's interesting to see him carry it in the left hand, too. The right hand is taped. We saw earlier when he ran that way, the ball was knocked free, and the Raiders recovered. Now, on 1st and 10 from the 42-yard line, Elway takes a look and hands off again. There's a loss of 4 yards on the play. That time, Sammy Winder never got started. Trying to turn upfield, he slipped and fell, and Long was right on him.
There are a couple of pockets of loose turf out there. Come to respect those that just simply don't care. They'll stand in there, wait till the last second, and they'll throw the ball knowing that they're going to get smashed.
Who are some of the most courageous?
Unitas among them, Bart Starr, Namath. You know, you go down to quite a list of people that, and some who would duck away.
Like me, if I was in there. We'll be back to the Los Angeles Coliseum right after these messages from your local station.
We're Colorado, proud and on the move, working together, KCNC, Channel 4 and you, Colorado's news channel, KCNC.
The Plus system invites you to take an incredible journey through an extraordinary new electronic network of thousands of automated teller machines, offering instantaneous banking services anytime, day or night, across the entire country. The Plus system, providing you unprecedented banking convenience on a scale never before possible.
You know what I look for in a tire? Durability, grip, good construction, tread design, and most important, smooth ride. That's why I buy my Generals from Sims Tire.
When you buy your General tires from Sims, we give you something extra. A tire swing for the kids, absolutely free. You see, we want everyone to ride on Generals from Sims.
Watch Coping with Divorce, beginning Monday at 5 and 10 on News Center 4.
As we're ready to start the 4th quarter, it looks, Merlin, like Dennis Smith, one of the best players in the Bronco defense, won't be back today. His right knee iced down. We're told it's a strained knee.
Roger Jackson is in his place, and certainly losing one of your best players has got to hurt even further. Good play.
Raiders go to the run. Marcus Allen carries the ball on 3rd down and 3, and looks like he's short. He is of the 1st down.
You see the shadows lengthening across the field, the sun dropping low. It's going to be a factor here, especially as you go from right to left across the field. They're saying go for it. Bryson Manor made a great play on that last one. Dove in and got a piece of the ball carrier. And there goes the short yardage defense, or short yardage offense for Tom Flores' Los Angeles Raiders. He's responding to the crowd, and you can't blame him. When you've gone 5 for 5 in 4th down attempts, they've been pretty successful.
Big play now as we open the 4th quarter. Second play of this final quarter, the Raiders leading 13-10, 4th and a yard. Second back through is Marcus Allen. He is through for 20. Down inside the 30 to the 28-yard line. Needed a yard, he got 7. Roger Jackson knocked him down.
Physical fatigue beginning to take a factor. The size of the Oakland offensive line, straight ahead blocking. You saw what they were doing to the defense there. That advantage begins to show even further. Allen accelerating well. It's the linebackers in the secondary who are having to make the bulk of the tackles now, and that's not good news for the Denver defense.
Oakland's powerful offensive front pushing back the Broncos now again to the run. This time carrying the ball is Frank Hawkins, who threw a key block on that 1st down run the play before for Marcus Allen. Hawkins emerging as one of the conference's better blockers. He said to block is 20% technique and 80% heart.
Look at these numbers. Rushing yardage for the Broncos, 26 on the day. The Raiders have not rung up impressive stats, but certainly have been able to control the football and have been able to have attempts to score anyway. You're getting that many shots on your goal, eventually they're going to get some in there.
This is the area of the field, though, where the Denver Broncos have stood tall so many times previously in this game. The Raiders challenge. They stopped them. We'll see if they can now on 2nd and 4 from the 23. Plunkett has a problem, gets it away, and overthrows his man, Malcolm Barnwell. Very nearly a sack. They got to Plunkett for 4 sacks in the 1st half. He's been releasing it quicker here in the 2nd half.
Jackson coming again on the blitz from the outside. He's in very quickly. Gets a blocker this time, but actually ducks inside the blocker. And even though he doesn't get Plunkett, Randy Gradishar able to get out. Tell Plunkett, you better hurry, get that one off, my friend. Malcolm Barnwell saying, hey, Jim, I'm a little tall, but I'm not tall enough to go up there and get that one.
So it goes as an incomplete pass and brings up 3rd down and 5. Branch and Barnwell wide either side. To the run. Ooh, good one. Pruitt carries the ball from scrimmage and gets it ahead for a Raider 1st down. He's to the 12-yard line.
It takes a special kind of back to run that draw play, and there are some backs who are very effective. Greg Pruitt is one of those backs. Kind of hides back there and waits and doesn't try to hurry the play. Lets him come back and hand him the football, then picks the spot, accelerates. And when you're rushing the passer as a defensive lineman, very difficult to make a stop on a play like that. 1st down for the Raiders.
It won't be 70 degrees and sunny next Sunday when the Raiders go to Buffalo to play the Bills, who are now tied for the AFC Eastern lead. First game of the NBC doubleheader in many parts of the country. Right now, the Raiders looking to lock this one if they can. A throw to the end zone, incomplete to Todd Christensen. Very nearly 6.
Do you think you draw a crowd down there when you waltz into the end zone? Let's watch Todd Christensen, number 46. Starts at about the 19-yard line, breaks it outside, and wants to find an opening down the middle. Mike Harden, 31, immediately on top of him. Roger Jackson, 28. Gradishar coming over. Good coverage by the Bronco defense.
So now 2nd down and 10 comes up for Plunkett and the Raiders. 18-yard line of the Denver Broncos. Raiders leading by 3 in the 4th quarter. Hawkins runs. He has plenty. And he might take it the distance. He does. Touchdown, Los Angeles. Now, Merlin, we know it's going to be bombs away when Elway and the Broncos get the ball back.
they really don't have any choice now. They didn't anyway. They weren't able to run the football. But when you keep hammering long enough and hard enough, and you have the speed to get outside, Hawkins following a fine block out there by Marcus Allen, and it was a missed tackle by Steve Wilson, number 45, that allowed Hawkins to make that move, get away, and plant himself firmly in the end zone.
Excellent block also by number 73, the left guard, Charlie Hanna. Oh, bad snap.
David Hum, number 11, who just recently picked up, taken out of retirement, allowed to come in and start relearning the Raiders' offensive system and installed as a holder. He's one of the best over the years. Couldn't get his hands on that one.
Well, it's a 19-10 lead for the LA Raiders, and we'll be back with their kickoff in a moment.
There is a revolution on the American road, led by Dodge, and it's changing the way America drives. With a 5-year, 50,000-mile protection plan, the most front-wheel drive models in America, the most turbocharged models.
An American revolution.
A turbocharged revolution called Daytona, a transportation revolution called Caravan.
We are Dodge, an American revolution.
This is the moment. It's time
Exercise.
to start.
Right. Start slowly at first, but start. Exercise.
You know you got to find your way. That new tomorrow starts today. This is the best of life.
I've decided to start.
And we like to help.
Visa.
Frank Hawkins is a powerful runner, and he runs right out of the grasp of number 45, Steve Wilson there. Finds his way into the end zone in spite of a last-ditch effort by Tom Jackson.
Today's game is brought to you by Dodge Cars and Ram Tough Dodge Trucks. Dodge, an American revolution. By Alcoa Aluminum Company of America, world leader in aluminum technology. And by Anheuser-Busch St. Louis, brewers of Michelob, some things speak for themselves. With Merlin Olsen, this is Don Criqui at the Coliseum in Los Angeles. Clear and sunny, a 2-game swing in the AFC West on the line with the outcome of this game. If the Raiders hold on and win it, they'll have command of the division by 2 games over Denver and Seattle with just 5 to play. The Broncos can gain a share of first place, though. If they can come back and win this, they need a touchdown, extra point, and a field goal to do that. They trail 19-10, but there's a lot of time remaining. 11:35. Egloff's second reception coming in this drive. Good for a total of 43 yards and first downs. From the 28, Elway takes a look. Timing pattern, another fastball. Right over the middle, and a slant pattern. Upchurch can't hold on, and the Raider coverage was excellent, led by 37, Lester Hayes.
Raiders style of defense, intimidation. They hammer on you out there. And they made an acquisition this week that's going to make this defense even tougher. Mike Haynes traded from the New England Patriots. Look at the fire on this ball.
Even
that
in slow
is
motion.
That is slow motion. Lester Hayes right there doing a good job of reacting. Talked to Mike Haynes yesterday. He is just thrilled to be coming into play for this Raider team, and boy will he fit in. That's a normal speed on that pass.
Yeah, that's
95-mile-an-hour fastball there. Put a hole outside.
Second and 10. The play is whistled dead as penalty markers go down at the line of scrimmage with 8 minutes and 4 seconds left to play. Raiders trailed in the first quarter 10-0. They now lead 19-10.
When things go sour.
Illegal snap on the center.
When things go sour down there, it just doesn't work, and it just disorganized on that last play as the ball was snapped to the wrong time. Several of the players already up, and looked like it was a first sound snap. Center was not up with it on time, and the ball will be marked off 5 yards. Second.
Third start, number 54 of the offense, still second down.
Keith Bishop, who's come in to play for Bill Bryan at center, he was shaken up. Called for the false start.
Well, you don't need that. Certainly the man who must start everything, must call those blocking combinations, is the offensive center. And the one man that you don't like to see disappear in that offensive line is your center. Now you've got a new quarterback and a new center in there.
Well, we see a lot of defensive linemen shift just before the snap. The Raiders seem to do it less than most teams. They're pretty much come right at you a certain way.
They line up and say, come and get us.
Right now on 2nd and 15, Elway takes the deep drop. He looks, he throws, he has a man, Watson, open for a moment, and a penalty marker down.
Penalty on the far side of the field. Elway now 9 for 25, 149 yards, 1 interception on the day. This Raider defense, an intimidating kind of defense. They just come after you, come after you, come after you. They hammer on you physically. And they make it difficult out there, especially if they can get up on you. If they know that they've got the edge. They bring a lot of people. They're rotating a lot of people into that line. I talked to Earl Leggett, their defensive line coach.
Number 76 of the offense was holding. Would still say down.
Ed Moransky. No, not Ed Moransky. That's the other side. Ken Lanier. You're looking at one of the real wild men. People up in Denver remember that man. Played a lot of football for the Broncos, went on to the Browns, and he's come back here and done an exciting job for these Los Angeles Raiders.
Tough-looking man. He could stare a dog down off a meat wagon, somebody said of Lyle Alzado.
He scared me.
Elway with the problem, gets away from it. He looks. Some of his players quit on the play. It's a first down throw. One of his players was open in the end zone, Upchurch, and thought he was sacked. Stopped running. But Elway finds a way, and so on 2nd down and about 25 yards, he throws for 32 and a first down.
I believe that's Steve Watson's first reception on the day, but what a big time. Now is that Sampson catching that football down there? That's Sampson catching the football down there, but Elway doing a magnificent job of escaping this pressure. That's Townsend, 93, Alzado, 77, a body lock there. Gets to the outside and gets that ball off. Watch the catch down deep here. 84, Sampson, Clint Sampson, and that's Watson right there with him. But it's Sampson pulling that ball down, 1st and 10.
So the Broncos down close for the first time in a long, long time. Here is a throw. It's incomplete, but there's a penalty marker. Watson was interfered with. It'll be 1st and goal for the Broncos inside the 5-yard line. Ed Watts called for the foul, and John Elway looking at the end zone from pretty close to point-blank range.
And we got another flag down. I believe Watts may have said something to the officials that drew an additional penalty.
20 on the defense. First down.
Maybe not. A chance there, though. You get the feeling. Steve Watson, well, you notice how upset Watts was. Steve Watson using his body to shield himself from that defender so effectively, and that really caused a problem. Watts had nowhere to go. Came in over the top. Caused himself the penalty.
And in the 4th quarter, when the Broncos needed it most, Elway has started to throw strikes. Now it's 1st and goal from the 4-yard line. Raiders lead 19-10. Elway throws. Watson had the ball and lost it. Very close to a reception. Lester Hayes split it up, though. A big play by the all-pro corner. He had it just long enough to have possession. Even if he knocked it away, it would have been a touchdown, but the official right there ruled he did not have it long enough.
3 people doing a spectacular job. It was a great throw by Elway, who's under pressure here. Has to bring it down and throw it the 2nd time. Gets the ball off. Watson had to go high in the air to get the football. Now watch him as he's coming down. Hayes is coming up and knocks the football away. If his feet touch the ground, that's a touchdown. But just as his feet are coming down, he's got to get both feet on the ground. Hayes knocked that football away. Brilliant play.
Really was, as you said, Merlin, an excellent play by 3 players. Now the Broncos will try again. 2nd and goal from the 4. Timing pattern. Oh, man was open, but Elway was short, and he knows it as he pounds a fist into the turf. Upchurch turning out.
Upchurch is angry. I don't blame him. He got himself open. He said, hey, it's tough enough to shake these black jerseys. Get me the football when I get open like that. Hell, and no one will be harder on himself than young John Elway. Elway will be angry that he did not get that football to the open receiver, and a lot of pressure right now on the offense. Here it is. Elway throwing, and he's under pressure again. But that ball to a wide-open receiver has got to be out there so he can catch it. Upchurch says, hey, come on, get it out here to me.
And Upchurch also, I think, lost some footing, cutting back. The field wet. particularly in the perimeter area after 2 days of rain.
I think cutting hard to try and get back to that football, though.
Now it's 3rd and goal. Elway swings it out. Wilhite loses the ball. Wilhite does well to come up with it. If it was ruled a lateral, it was a free football. And
I believe they're going to call it I believe that they are going to call that an incomplete pass and not a lateral as they mark it back to the line of scrimmage. But it doesn't do any good. It's still going to be 4th down. Reeves can't believe it.
I think he's a little upset with Wilhite.
Elway looking across, waiting for Wilhite, threw it behind him. Wilhite had to turn completely around to try and catch that ball, and that's the one thing you can't afford to do when you got that back going out to the outside. The ball's got to be in front of it. Elway now 6 for 15, 117 yards in the second half. Of course, that interception also coming in the second half. First half, he was only 4 for 12.
Carlos can bring the Broncos to within 6. High snap, but the set down and hold are very good. Luke Trustridge doing his job well, and Carlos responding with the field goal. And now it is a 19-13 game, and we still have 6:35 left to play, so looks like we're going down to the wire.
Some things speak for themselves.
There's only one thing you can really call small about the Dodge Ram 50. The price.
We are Dodge.
There's so much that's big, like standard payload, 1,630 pounds, larger than any top-selling small pickup. And performance, more horsepower than the base Ford Ranger or Chevy S10. Dodge Ram 50 doesn't look or act like America's lowest price truck.
We are Dodge.
Now get up to $1,000 cash back on 83 models.
With 6:35 left to play, the Denver Broncos are back in the ball game, trailing the Los Angeles Raiders 19-13. And Merlin, John Elway started to play a lot better football in the second half.
Elway seems to be relaxing a little bit, getting the ball on target more effectively, but they've still got to get back and do it. Reeves talking to Elway on the sideline, I'm sure asking him what happened on that pass that went behind Wilhite, and certainly concerned about not getting the 7. Of course, you've got to have the 3-2 to get you back in the ball game, but they would love to have had the 7 points there and had the option of going for the field goal on the next time down.
But Elway has demonstrated he can open up the Raider defense. At least he has done so here in the 4th quarter. A good kickoff by Carlos. Dokie Williams, 5 yards deep in the end zone, will not bring it out. So the Raiders will go on offense, holding to a 6-point lead with 6:30 to play. 1st and 10 for Jim Plunkett and the Raiders at the Los Angeles 20.
And again, Plunkett's numbers certainly not overwhelming in this day of passing football, but more than adequate to get his team on top today. And of course, the one costly mistake he made was the fumble early in the ball game. Ball knocked loose for a touchdown, but he has come back to play very sound football. Now the thing you've got to do defensively, the Broncos thinking to themselves, don't give anything big, but let's take that football away. 6:30, plenty of time.
Jim Plunkett wants to move downfield in a hurry. He throws and hits his tight end for a 1st down. Todd Christensen over the middle, and Plunkett with a perfect throw to him, and the ball is out to the 33-yard line.
Confidence is such an asset. The Raiders have that kind of confidence in Todd Christensen and their short passing game. They're not afraid to throw the ball under a critical situation like that. And Christensen, after being shut out early, has come back for 4 catches and big yardage, and certainly some of them very key to Raider success.
They have been, and he's just worked harder to get free. He's got to fight off. For a long time, he had to fight off Louis Wright, then a linebacker. And he's been open for a moment, and Plunkett's delivered there, and now he does it again. Another 1st down, a quick out going over to Cliff Branch.
These are high percentage passes, the kind of passes that are not going to be intercepted. I mean, if your man doesn't get that one, if Branch doesn't get that pass, that ball's out of bounds. So they're playing smart football here. They want to eat the clock, drive down the field, love to get some more points on the board, and force the Broncos to go for even bigger points on their side of it.
The precision of a veteran quarterback and offensive team. 2 quick throws, 2 quick first downs, and both times they keep it inbounds and keep the all-important clock running. 5:15 to play in the game. Raiders 19, Broncos 13. Marcus Allen, nothing in the middle, so he takes it to the outside, and he is ahead for very close to first down yardage. So the Raiders, when they need it badly to keep their lead protected, respond with 3 consecutive first down plays. If this one is good for 10, if it's not, it'll be short by inches.
There's a fine line aggressively on the defensive side between going after the football and putting yourself at risk. And when you start trying to tackle a football, when you start trying to make the big play, there's always the danger that the offense will break the big one on you and get away. Right now, it's important that the Broncos play steady defense, that they take the football back, but there's still a lot of time left in this game. That's going to be a first down, as Allen was able to get enough on that particular run. Good job by Marcus Allen.
Has over 130 yards for the day as Elway waits to get back in and get another chance. Marcus Allen with 83 yards rushing and 49 more on 6 receptions.
Broncos have played a 4-man defensive line virtually throughout this game, and I believe the reason more than anything is because of injuries to their linebackers. They've done a fairly good job, but again, they're just being pounded and pounded and pounded, gradually wearing down under that big offensive line of the Raiders.
Raiders closed with a big win in the final minutes at Kansas City last week. Now they look to protect this 6-point lead. Hawkins runs the ball not very far, and a first down carry got to the 43. Jim Ryan, one of the linebackers, knocked him down, and the clock continues to wind down. 4:15 to play.
Ryan's done a good job of staying in that lineup. An injured ankle kept him out of last week's ball game. He's come back well. Sam Bogosian, their offensive line coach, talking to Tom Flores. What a fine job Flores has done. I don't think he ever gets enough credit. Certainly deserves a great deal of credit for the way he handles the Los Angeles Raider organization.
Dan Reeves, you can see the tension in his face as he looks for his defense to get the ball back. Here comes Jackson. He strips the ball. It looks like the Denver Broncos have it. They do. Jackson again. They ought to give this guy a game ball. It's gold-plated.
The 5th sack of the day by the Denver defense. And, of course, at the crucial time, you've got big play people that got to perform for you. Jackson coming from the left side. That's Hawkins. He gets by here. But it's just reaching out with that left hand. And Plunkett, who does not grip that ball tightly, has it swept out of his hand right here. The Broncos recover. They now can put Elway back in the game and set their sights on the goal line.
You know, at Midas, we've installed over 48 million mufflers, more than any other muffler chain. In fact, compare us to any of them, and you know what you'll find?
We've had more repeat customers than they've had customers.
We've done more foreign cars than they've done cars.
And with our Midas guarantee, we've installed more free mufflers than they've sold. When it comes to experience, no one can touch Midas.
Trust the Midas touch.
Now Washington's better.
Way better.
Nashville's better.
Far better.
Los Angeles is better.
Really better.
Now Holiday Inn is a better place to be.
Almost every 7 days, a brand new Holiday Inn hotel opens in the locations you want the most. Better hotels in the best locations. That's why we're number one.
We're number one, worldwide host. First with what you want the most.
Call 800-HOLIDAY.
Holiday Inn is a better place to be.
Arnold Palmer, Gary Player, Jack Nicklaus, and Tom Watson charge after a $360,000 purse. Golf's greatest foursome plays the Skins Game. Thanksgiving weekend on NBC Sports.
I'd just like to caddy for that group. Get out, watch Nicklaus. I'd even be willing to carry 4 bags to be there for that Skins game.
You could carry them.
Well, that's going to be a great match.
We get a few more good football players, and then we can get our own team. We've got Merlin Olsen, his brother Phil Olsen, and Bobby Chandler, a longtime Buffalo Bill and an L.A. Raider in their championship year, the last one. Looking out as Elway throws and hits his man, Nathan Poole. He's ahead for about 10 yards. He's down to the 32-yard line and gets out of bounds with 3:34 left to play.
Elway doing a good job on that play.
He is.
He looked deep, watched the receivers, did not have the kind of opening he wanted, flashed left, picked up Nathan Poole in the side and hammered the ball to him. Poole getting down very close to a first down. And the thing you don't want to do here is get greedy. You don't want to get greedy. Two reasons for it. First, your percentage passes are all lower passes. And second, an awful lot of time on that clock. You'd like to use some of it in that drive.
3:34 left to go. The Broncos trail 19-13. Nathan Poole runs hard and he works hard and gets a first down. Nathan Poole is down close to the 30-yard line, so it's going to be a first down for Denver. He stayed in bounds, and with 3:19 on the clock running, the Broncos huddle somewhat at their leisure. I think they're of your thinking, Merlin. They don't want to try to get it all at once and give the Raiders time to get back. First, they've got to get some.
Well, Nathan Poole only 9 yards on the day, but those were two of the most important that he'll get during this entire day. And now the Raider defense, their thought down there very simple. They've got to play conservative enough not to allow the deep shot, but they've got to push hard enough not to allow the drive to continue. 1st and 10 for Elway and the Bronco offense.
But over the years, nobody's come back like the Raiders have, and they have 58 seconds to get in field goal range.
There is a revolution on the American road, an automotive revolution led by Dodge. The latest evidence, Dodge Daytona Turbo Z. Backed by standard 550 protection, turbocharged, fuel-injected, front-wheel drive. The fantastically balanced, performance-bred Dodge Daytona Turbo Z.
There's a feeling that's been grown in this country that we love. It's our guts and grit and energy that drive the rise above. Go for it, America. We've got the gusto now.
Here's to the guys who are making America great. From the guys who make Schlitz, a great American beer.
Have a Schlitz, America. You got the gusto now. You got the gusto now.
John Elway, exuberant, well, he should be after he ran up the middle for the touchdown that tied the game, and then the extra point by Carlos. And Denver has rallied from 9 points down late in the game to lead 20-19. The kickoff. To Doki Williams. He's a flyer. They hem him in and down him at the 30. 17-yard return, and now, with 51 seconds left to go, Plunkett and the Raider offense comes out.
And in any ball game, it comes down to the final seconds, comes down to maybe 1 or 2 plays. This will go down as the most important offensive play of the day. A scramble. No one open. John Elway making the most of that opportunity. And is that young man happy? I think this ball may bounce 50 yards in the air. Wow!
A great second look from the ground level. Our producer today for NBC Sports, Kenneth Edmondson, our director, John Gonzalez. As the Raiders now, with 1st and 10 at their 30, trailing by 1. Plunkett has time. He has a man. It's Christensen. He is across the 45 to the 47. And the clock runs down to 40 seconds and running.
Raiders have all 3 of their timeouts. They take one here, 40 seconds. Chris Barr on the sideline. It may come down to an opportunity for that young man to drop it over the goalpost, and of course with a 1-point lead, that's all they need.
The Raiders, though, they don't really like it till they're behind late in the game. They know all about coming back to win, and they could have a chance and very soon, and nobody knows that better than Dan Reeves.
He certainly doesn't. Reeves, of course, Joe Collier, you see him there. He's the man who will call the defensive signals. And without that man right there, Roger Jackson, under a lot of pressure. We showed you earlier, Dennis Smith, starting safety, is out of the ball game. You're going with a young man in there who doesn't have that much experience. Your defense is tired. They've been on the field a good part of the day. But right now, it's down to this. You've got to shut down the Los Angeles Raiders. You've got to keep them from getting in field goal range. You've got to protect that 1-point lead for John Elway.
John Elway came into this game after being relegated to the bench, said, "I'm ready now," and he was. The first half wasn't too productive, but the second half was.
Look at that, rushing. Elway has run 4 times for 32 yards. The entire Bronco backfield has only run 29 yards in 22 attempts.
Plunkett against a big rush, gets it away. Christensen has the ball and gets away. It's a race to the end zone. Christensen inside the 30. It's going to come back on a clip. They would be in field goal range with 30 seconds left, but there is a call going to be called against the L.A. Raiders.
You talk about a flip of emotion. Christensen breaking away, and it appeared that he had an open field, at least for a good gain. Dokie Williams coming in, trying to do a little bit extra, clipped on the backside. They're going to mark 15 yards back. They're going to end up virtually in the same place that they started to play.
The game clock showing 30 seconds to play. Red Cashin, the referee, steps off the yardage to the 49-yard line of Denver.
Very good use of the hands during the run. Number 85 on the offense. It's still first down.
Now it's a 10-yard penalty instead of a 15-yard penalty, so they go back to where they actually make 3 yards on the play. But there's the push right there. Number 85, Williams, getting the shove in the middle of the back. And, of course, they mark it back.
One thing we're sure of, Merlin, there won't be any overtime. 20-19 the score, 30 seconds to play. Denver on defense has the lead. The Raiders. Jim Plunkett throwing. Again, he goes to Christensen, and again he comes up and comes down with the ball. Down to the 36-yard line. It's still long field goal range for Chris Barr with 23 seconds to play.
Wilbur Myers, number 29, all over the intended receiver. They're still able to go up and bring that football down. You see Todd Christensen applauding out there saying, hey, we're still in this thing. And, of course, that's what's on the line. The lead in the AFC West, owned now by the Raiders. These Denver Broncos would love to pull them back into a tie. Little clamp right there. They're trying to get in on Plunkett. What a great catch. Up and over the top.
Ross Schneiderman, our NBC statistician, with the numbers on Plunkett. 24 of 39 for 225 yards. Now they really come alive at the Coliseum in Los Angeles. Christensen shut down early in the game. Merlin has really got some numbers now.
He certainly does. 6 for 86 yards in the ball game. And the pressure again squarely on the shoulders of the Bronco defense, and they have responded with big plays all day long. Merle Moore there on the left, the linebacker coach. It's his linebackers that have made some of the biggest. They'd like to make another one here.
13 years in the NFL. Jim Plunkett has been here 100 times before. So is Jackson, who's after him again. Here's a throw, a timing pattern, and it is caught out of bounds. Not a completion. Dokie Williams had it, but both feet came down on the white chalk.
A great adjustment to the football. Dokie Williams covered down the sideline, one-on-one. The ball thrown short. He jumps back. That's Roger Jackson. No, excuse me, Steve Wilson, 45, covering him. But you look at Dokie. He looks down, and he can see those 2 feet in the white stripe. No reception. 2nd and 10 from the 36-yard line.
Big down. They're all big at this point. 17 seconds left to play in the game. Denver 20. The Raiders 19. Plunkett dropping for Los Angeles. He has Christensen. He's in field goal range now as Christensen is down to the 23-yard line.
They stop him in bounds. They're going to have to call a timeout. It's going to come down to a final play, and it looks like it's going to be Chris Barr with everything hanging in the balance. Barr 2 for 3 on the day, has been good from 28 and 42 yards. Missed from 28 yards.
Wow. It's really been something. The Denver Broncos came in here shaken up, but ready to play, and they played hard all day. Their defense kept them in it early, and then the Raiders, with that great power in the offensive line, mixed the run and the pass, and came from a 10-0 deficit, did the Raiders to a 19-10 lead in the 4th quarter. But the Denver Broncos, responding with 10 fourth-quarter points, the last 10 points scored in this game, have taken a 1-point lead, 20-19. And now Chris Barr's on the field. It'll be a 40-yard attempt from virtually straight away. Upright, so Merlin get an awful lot narrow when the whole thing's on the line.
4 completed passes in that drive to Todd Christensen, and he set it up. He's allowed a missed chance. Let's see if they can capitalize.
David Holmes had a problem.
To the high country, only at the big wheel. Osborne North, Broadway South, Colorado East, and Bob Bundy West.
This is Channel 4, Colorado's news channel.